Hello. How goes the? What's cracking lacking? How's everybody doing? Took a shower. My hair's kind of a mess. Anywho, there's a lot of stuff to cover today. There's a lot of stuff we gotta talk about today, whether it be the chapter itself. I learned new things about the chapter because why the hell not? And there are a few different announcements. There is some stuff regarding the Ruka project where Ruka or Reiji said some interesting stuff regarding it. There's some stuff regarding there's like another thing where they released like a new merch line, but then they had a cool description for it that I thought I'd share. There is some stuff, yeah, there's some stuff regarding the Cohabitation arc that like I started realizing only recently, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how that didn't click for me. Suddenly that makes a whole lot more sense. So yeah, there's a lot. So hello and welcome. The chat is unbelievably quiet. Yeah, I mean, it's Sunday at like almost 2, and this wasn't really scheduled. It doesn't help that there's Evo right now. I don't think many people are here watch Evo, but there is something going on. Are you getting into a daily streaming schedule now? No. What do you mean? I didn't stream for like 2 days. I literally didn't stream for like 2 days. What are you talking about? I only stream Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, and then occasionally on the weekend. What is Evo? Evo is a fighting game thing. It's a big. Think of it like E3 for fighting games. Like I don't know if any of you know what E3 is. Think of it like a game. Think of it like a con for fighting games. Hello, Cyber Demon. Yeah. Probably none of you, of course. Right after I say something that chop bucks up some lol. I mean, it's barely anything. It's just a few people talking. Not a big deal. Anywho, oh no, I'm here for the Chizuru drama. Left my ass off. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if next week there's like something interesting going on with Chizuru and people are like, oh, drama. Wow. Because that's all it boils down to. If there's anything mildly interesting within a story, people will just stigmatize it as trauma or drama. I said trauma. Drama. So stupid. Also, don't talk about spoilers here. If you've read the spoilers, do not talk about them. I know they're out. I went to Reddit to make sure they're out. I didn't read them. I just saw it, and I'm like, I'm aware. So just be warned. Right the fuck now. You mention spoilers at all, or you should talk a character. I've given Bacon the guns. I've given Bacon the guns. What do you think about the theory regarding the next chapter? What do you think about my theory regarding next chapter? I forgot. Oh, you thought Minnie and Chizuru might get into a fight, right? You thought Minnie and Chizuru might get into a fight. I believe that's what you said, something like that. It's not unplausible. It's not. I'm not gonna like dismiss it. I totally think it is possible that Chizuru and Minnie might totally get into a fight, especially considering Chizuru wants to like keep Minnie out of this. So that makes a lot of sense, and it also ties back perfectly into. Let's normal. What happens? Like that was your theory, right? I'm not mixing anything up. That was your theory, right? I'm just trying to make sure I didn't mix anything up. As of right now, the spoilers aren't out. Yes, they are. We're not going to read anything, but... See? The thread's out. Yes, they are. Oh, wait, not this. He looks so goofy. He looks so goofy. Oh, that's the pre-thread just in case something comes out? Oh, sweet. Oh, thank God. Oh, that makes my life so much fucking easier. Oh, that makes my life so much fucking easier. Oh, thank God. Whew. Whew. Dodge a bullet. See, that's how you know I don't fucking read them. I would have known. I would have fucking known. I don't read them. My least favorite character is the taxi driver for breaking my prediction. What the fuck? Anywho, so Lawless Bacon, yours was here. I'll just pull it up on Discord. Your theory was that Chizuru is saying to Minnie, only she isn't catching it. When Chizuru said, I'll paraphrase, it needs to end, she wasn't talking about rental. She was talking about Minnie butting in and getting involved in their relationship. I think next chapter, Chizuru is going to be more blunt about it. Your fight theory is still true, just not in the way we thought, which is a big theme in this arc. Well, the big theme in the arc isn't necessarily like that. It's just it's more so breaking illusions, and we're getting the things we want, just not how we imagined it. But that doesn't add up for us as the viewers, but maybe it does. Regardless, that matches this. That matches this instance where what does Minnie do? Minnie gets in between them, trying to get them to live together. Kazuya's like, why are you just putting my feelings out there? What the fuck, Minnie? Chizuru blushes, right? She's getting in between them, literally. And what ends up happening, Chizuru says, well, that's certainly a Minnie-chan idea. Don't be absurd. Kazuya didn't say this, you did. So when you realize Chizuru's big issue is that Minnie keeps saying shit instead of Kazuya, you can totally see why Chizuru would totally get into a fucking fight with Minnie. That's totally plausible. Like, I 100% see it. That would be putting the cart before the horse, wouldn't it? What do you think they should figure out through cohabitation? A man and a woman living together carries a truckload of problems. I don't think it makes any sense at all. Again, she's turning down Minnie, not Kazuya, but in so doing, she's affecting Kazuya. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, she may be down about it, but this is another issue entirely. Men and women are fundamentally different, right? That's not true. We know that's not true. Then Minnie is like, how about you two kiss instead then? And it's like, Minnie, fuck off. Minnie, just fuck. I get it. You care, but fuck off. Right? Chizuru is just like, yeah, this isn't his idea. Minnie's causing the misunderstanding that this isn't Kazuya's idea. This is Minnie's idea. He's not saying this. Right? And it's literally part of the illusion. The big thing that I realized is that the cohabitation is two things at the same time. One, the entire cohabitation / investigation is kind of like a crutch for them. It's literally rental in reverse. And what I mean by that is that now it's the real thing, but it's still a lie. So basically, Kazuya and Chizuru are literally living out their paradise with each other, but it's still an illusion. It's still under the guise of there's an investigation going on. It's not the real thing. It's still under the guise of, oh, we're not in a relationship yet, but we're living together. It's still under the guise that this may end, right? So literally, they needed to end the illusion to have the real thing. Because when they lived through the illusion, what ended up happening is that Kazuya and Chizuru essentially got to be their real selves underneath the lie. It was still them. They were still making the choice. Imagine it like the Matrix. You're living in a lie, but you are real. Right? You're living in a lie, but you yourself are real. Your choices still matter. You still made choices that were true to who you are, even though you were living in a simulation, a lie. So the real them is still there. And what made me realize this is like this old Superman comic where Superman loses his identity as Superman. So he's only Clark Kent. And he ends up not being Superman, and he marries Lois Lane, and they live happily ever after. And then Lois realizes, hey, like something is wrong. Like she tries to like cut his hair, and his hair doesn't cut. The scissor literally breaks. And she's like, wait, something is wrong. And she figures out that Superman is real, and that Clark Kent is Superman. So she makes a hard choice to not be selfish, to not like let her selfish desires take over and choose goodness over it, and essentially bring Superman back. Superman at the time wasn't with Lois Lane, but Clark Kent was interested in her, and he couldn't be with her because he was Superman, right? He didn't want to endanger her with his identity. After that point, after Clark becomes Superman again, he's literally like, but I still made those choices. Like, even though it was an illusion, I still made those choices, and they renew their vows, and they get married under Superman's lineage and origins, instead of Lois Lane's lineage and origins. And that kind of, like, I was like, holy shit. That kind of opened my third eye. I was just like, oh my god, their entire relationship, and the thing Reiji actively nods to in the cohabitation, is that they're married. And Chizuru talks about her marriage, her ideal marriage proposal, a few chapters before this one, right? Before they start living together, what does Chizuru talk about? Straight up, 248, Kazuya asks her what her ideal marriage would be like. And Chizuru says there's no perfect human being, there will be fights, and there will be things they don't like about each other, but they can turn around and laugh about it 2 seconds later. That's the kind of marriage I'd like to have. And this is literally just before they live together. While they're living together, they talk about their ideal proposals, their ideal marriage. Kazuya literally mentions how it feels like they're married. They're literally simulating being married to each other, not just even in a relationship. Almost all of Chizuru's questions during the date are what? Literally, they seem like marriage questions. They seem like questions you would ask someone if you're like trying to figure out your life together. Almost every question she asks does this. And Kazuya, literally, the way they talk about each other is like they're picking a life partner. That, like, straight up, it's like they're about to get fucking married to each other. And of course, the big overlooming thing, the ring. The ring is like present in all of this. One of the covers is literally Chizuru holding the ring and looking at it. So literally, the entire cohabitation is them being married. That's what it was. It was literally them acting out a relationship for real, in contrast to what Rental was before. Rental was them faking a relationship. Now they're acting out a real relationship under the lie that it might end in the future, right? So it's literally in reverse. They flipped the meaning. Before it was a lie hiding a truth. This is a truth hiding a lie. And that's been the entire thing that's going on. So at the time, in chapter 235, the reason I call back to that one, in chapter 235, Chizuru talks to Minnie, right? Chizuru talks to Minnie here in chapter 235, and Minnie can recognize Chizuru is seemingly lying to herself. A lot of this is Chizuru kind of lying to herself, and she can't tell she's lying, and she feels bad for lying. She feels guilty about the lies. This is all my fault, calling myself a professional girlfriend, right? She beats herself up over the lie. In contrast, what's going on in the current chapter? She's intentionally and willfully lying to Minnie. She doesn't mind lying if it's to protect the people she loves. And we know this because Chizuru literally does this in Hawaiians. What does Chizuru feel guilty about in this chapter? The lies in Hawaiians. That's what she feels guilty about, the lies she made in Hawaiians. Here, Chizuru is no longer guilty about any of the lies. She's willing to lie to Minnie if it means she protects her and Kazuya's relationship. The meaning of what the lie was initially flipped. The meaning of it literally flipped on its head. Before, Chizuru would lie to protect, Kazuya and Chizuru were lying together to protect their families, to protect their family's happiness. Chizuru is now lying to protect his happiness, her happiness with him, their shared relationship. She's protecting Kazuya's happiness, not anyone else's. The meaning has intentionally been flipped. And it's literally the characters taking what truth there was in the cohabitation and making it true for themselves, right? Just because the cohabitation needed to end and the illusion needed to break, it doesn't mean that what they had needs to end. Chizuru lets go of everything but her feelings, right? She can let go of all the other stuff. None of the other shit matters, but she doesn't need to let go of her feelings. Those were real. The experiences she had in the simulation were real. She doesn't need to toss that aside. And that's pretty much the same for Kazuya. Even though Kazuya in the date was under an illusion and he wasn't his truest self, the whole point was that Kazuya's feelings were real. And it doesn't change that. Even if he didn't express any of his feelings outwards, they were real. And that's ultimately what matters. That's the whole point of the issue that's the whole resolution of the investigation, the date. In the date, whenever Chizuru asks Kazuya, Kazuya can't explain his feelings. He can just tell her, I don't doubt them. So Chizuru just stops doubting her feelings, right? She just starts believing in those feelings. She stops doubting them, even though she can't describe them super well, right? She's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna stop doubting my feelings and just trust them. She sees Kazuya trust his feelings and believe in his feelings despite the fact that he can't express them, despite the fact that Kazuya in the day is not being his truest self, and she just says, I'm gonna trust my feelings. Because he trusts his. She learns to accept herself as he accepts himself, because he's accepting her. It's literally the believe in me who believes in you. And if you know anything about Gurren Lagann, Kamina says that line to Simon, even though Kamina himself is very insecure. Kamina can't actually do anything. He just motivates the person who can. He doesn't realize this, and in so doing, Chizuru is kind of doing that in reverse for Kazuya here. Kazuya is actually Simon, in a sense. In simple terms, Kazuya is Simon. For those who have seen Gurren Lagann, Simon is actually like the character who makes the true changes in that story. You just think it's Kamina. You just think Kamina is the one who can do all the changes. In reality, Simon can. That's kind of what's going on with Kazuya here. Kazuya is Simon, and he doesn't realize, and he thinks he's not actually like good enough, just like Simon. In reality, he actually can do everything. And he tells Chizuru, "Believe in me, who believes in you." And so in turn, both the characters essentially transform into these characters they believe to be. Chizuru will push back if someone says you're just a rental. Yeah, she totally would. I think Chizuru is at that point where she can push back now. Chizuru feels truly confident in her feelings and her love now. She can push back. I actually think so. What is Faye talking about right now? Sucks you randomly walked in. What do you think of the possibility that Chizuru uses the ticket to ask him to propose? Plot-wise, it's a good callback. Character-wise, it feels like making Kazuya passive again. I don't think Chizuru would do that. We've already said that I believe what the ticket could be used for is Chizuru asking Kazuya, what do you want? We all said, because it's an anything I want ticket. What I want is for you to tell me what you want. So it feels like Chizuru would use that, to literally use the ticket to empower him. To make him realize how that the value of this ticket is that he's the one who gave it. In so doing, it would empower him rather than take away from him. Chizuru's whole thing is she doesn't want Kazuya to feel passive and powerless. She wants to feel like she can empower him. She wants to tell him how great he is, show him how great he actually is, and how he doesn't see that in himself, how amazing Kazuya actually is. Right? She wants to empower him, and she wants to challenge him to not be afraid anymore. Chizuru is just taking off the walls, right? I think, to be honest, I genuinely think what was going on in chapter 384 and 385 is this. Chapter 385, Chizuru not reacting is for a very intentional reason. I kind of think I figured it out. Chizuru constantly paying attention to Kazuya's feelings and trying to make him feel better and trying to catch him over everything is Chizuru being overprotective. It was Chizuru being overprotective. That throughout the cohabitation, Chizuru would actively notice Kazuya was unhappy. And she would try to help him out. She would try to be like, hey, it's okay. I'm here. But you can only do that so much. Chizuru here just dropped it. She's like, I'm done being overprotective. I trust him. Because Kazuya, when he just understood what was going on, when he saw Chizuru, led perfectly fine. He could pick her up, all of her troubles, and then some. Kazuya can lead. He just thinks he can't. Kazuya can do things in the relationship. He just thinks he can't. And every time she comforts him, on one hand, yes, it makes him feel better. On the other hand, it actually lets him remain passive. That comfortability kept letting Kazuya become passive. It made him comfortable to be passive. But what happened? Here's a perfect example of how Chizuru helped Kazuya without realizing it. In chapter 315, when Chizuru comes home and Kazuya asks her out on a date, Chizuru just looks tired. She just says what it is, says what's going on. She asks what he wants, and she looks at her schedules, and she's just being honest, and she just has a blank expression. She's just being normal. This is just Chizuru being normal. And Kazuya wants to ask, and as he's heading over, she just says has a good night. She doesn't cater to him. She doesn't overprotect him. She doesn't do any extra stuff to take care of him. She just lets him be. She just acts normal and says good night. She doesn't push him for answers. She doesn't try to get anything out of him. And for that exact reason, it actually empowers him. That he's not being babied. That he's not being told he's powerless. That he doesn't need to. She doesn't need to constantly take care of him. Uncomfortability allows you to transform. When you get comfortable, you become lazy. You literally you kind of lose that control. You know. You need to stay a little bit uncomfortable. That's just a part of life, and that's something you can see in its direct reference to Finding Nemo. Chapter 384, Chizuru gives him the fish that Kazuya himself called Nemo. Straight up. Kazuya literally called it Nemo. This fish, she gives it to him. Okay? And like Finding Nemo, Marlin in the end of the story stops babying his kid and just fucking trusts him that he can make these transformations, that he can do this, that there's nothing to be afraid of. He just needs to believe in him. Chizuru is kind of the same thing here. She stops being a parent and just lets Kazuya do his thing. She becomes a partner. And that's why, in chapter 385, Chizuru does not react to any of this. She just stays herself. This is Chizuru just actually being her honest self. Chizuru's honest self is the blank expression. This thing that wasn't Chizuru insecure about this. What was Chizuru insecure about when it came to Minnie? Right here. She can be so passionate, I envy her for that. I wonder if you can see that. Yeah, she can be so passionate, I envy her for that. Shouting at the top of her lungs that she loves him with no reservation at all. I can't stomp over someone's feelings of love with these feelings I don't even understand. Chizuru stopped caring about that. This is the real Chizuru. This is normal Chizuru. She's not going back to a role. That's the real her. The real her is kind of like this sometimes. She just doesn't have expression sometimes, but the real her is also this. This is also the real her. Chizuru can be extremely passionate, but she can also just not have expression sometimes. That's just who Chizuru is, and she knows it. And she was jealous of Minnie trying to be Minnie. But you shouldn't be anyone else except yourself. This is about self-acceptance. So Chizuru just acts like herself. She's just being herself. This Chizuru isn't going back to a role. She's literally actually just being herself. And in being herself, and Kazuya being himself, she just does what she wants. She just kisses him in the heat of the moment. That's it. She's just being honest with herself here. Because Kazuya accepted her real self. He didn't push any of that stuff away. You mean Ruka, not Minnie, yeah? Yeah, Ruka. Chizuru's jealous of Ruka, not Minnie. Minnie is like a different kind of jealousy. Chizuru's jealous of Minnie specifically because Minnie talks to Kazuya. And Kazuya is his true self around Minnie. But Chizuru let go of this idea. Chizuru opened the floodgates for Kazuya and let go of this idea that Minnie knows more. If Chizuru wants control over that, she just needs to make it clear to him. And she's setting boundaries with Minnie here. Chizuru is envious of Ruka specifically because Ruka's more passionate. You accidentally said Minnie twice instead of Ruka. Ruka. Oops. Yeah, she's okay, my bad. She's jealous of Ruka, not Minnie. She's jealous of Ruka, not Minnie. Okay? And then when Kazuya is his true self too, that true self evokes something from Chizuru. Minnie is a bro in his eyes until he noticed she was cute and then he got weird, lol. Kazuya was just a little uncomfortable because for a while he'd never seen Minnie as anything other than a guy. And then suddenly he starts, because they're on a date, Kazuya is just like, oh, okay, this is a little weird, but then he gets over it. And plus, did you notice throughout that entire date, he's only seeing Chizuru. He's looking at Minnie and seeing Chizuru. He literally looks at Minnie and sees Chizuru, not Minnie. So it's not that weird, really. It's actually pretty realistic, I would argue. It's not that weird that, like, you're hanging out with your friend that's a girl and you never considered, oh, wow, they're actually a girl. I didn't process that. But then what does Kazuya do after? He still chooses to just see her as a friend. He doesn't, like, he makes the active choice to just see Minnie as a friend and not anything else, just as Minnie makes the active choice to just see Kazuya as her friend and nothing else. They both, like, consider the idea, oh, that they're the person of the opposite sex, but they're still just my friend, and that's okay. So it's not that really that weird. But yeah, Chizuru here is just being her most honest self. And I think the illusion that we're under right now is that Chizuru is going back. But in reality, this was always her. Chizuru's not going back to anything. She's just being her real self. And her real self is the thing we saw before. We just thought it wasn't. So Chizuru is actually being her most honest self. Kazuya is pacified both by Minnie and Chizuru. Neither were intentional. And Chizuru just stopped doing that. Chizuru just stopped pretending to be someone she's not. I feel like Minnie had a script in her head and she couldn't see outside of the script, and Chizuru was trying her best to make him feel comfortable, so neither was letting him grow. Kind of, yeah. I think, but that's the thing. This is where I introduce a new idea. This is where I introduce a new idea that I think people did not see. On one hand, they were not letting Kazuya grow, which is kind of correct. On the other, there's something that's very core that's missing here that I think people are not seeing. Kazuya, because he was put in the passive position, in literally being in a passive position, I think chapter 313 perfectly captures this. Let's go here. Kazuya, in being put in the passive position, right? You see that right here. They're walking ahead and he's following, and he's okay with following them. Because he got put in that position, he actually figured out how in love he is with Chizuru and what he actually wants. Because Kazuya is no longer leading, he gets to kind of figure out what he wants to do. He becomes more self-aware and understands himself better and his desires and who he wants to be. In a sense, he figures out how to grow instead of just growing. That's, I think, the brilliance of Kazuya being put in a passive position. The real Kazuya never left. The real Kazuya was always here. He just knows how to grow now because he observed and let himself remain in a passive position. In so doing, he eventually figured out what direction he wants to grow in, even though he was still under the illusion. Now the illusion is gone and there's no more protection, right? Everything is shattered and there's no more protection. He can grow however he damn well pleases and there's no more limitations, right? So before, he it's like he had training wheels on. Now he doesn't have any training wheels on, and he doesn't have to listen to anybody or anything. He can just transform how he wants to. And he has all these options in the world, right? He has every option in the world, and he can transform and become whoever he wants to be. And because he observed Minnie and Chizuru literally leading and living their lives, knowing what lives they want to live, he in turn figured out what life he wants to live. And in so doing, because Kazuya figures out what life he wants to live, so does Chizuru. So does Chizuru feel more confident in the path that she was doubting before. In a way, they essentially taught each other what they need to know. Kazuya's love was reaffirmed to him more so than ever before, and because Kazuya's love was so certain for him, it cleared up Chizuru's doubts. And Chizuru knew exactly, she became more confident in the path she already wanted to walk. Whereas Kazuya truly believed in this path because he saw how deeply in love he is with her. And he lets go of all the barriers and armors. They essentially completed each other without even realizing they were doing this. And so in a sense, Kazuya grew more than he could have ever grown before because he understood his love on such a deep level. He actually grew a lot more because he was in a passive position. In a sense, it's like marinating. Kazuya essentially got to marinate and figure himself out, and in so doing, it let him kind of grow even more than before. Minnie's date set up the Chizuru date so bad it angers me. Minnie's planted ideas distracted Kazi completely from all the things he wanted to see Chizuru react to. Damn it, Minnie. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why the illusion needed to break. None of those things would have actually mattered to Kazuya if he wasn't under the illusion that he needed to perform, because he was under investigation. In a sense, the investigation is reverse rental. The investigation is the prospect that you could be with someone, but that prospect hindered them, right? Chizuru's intention wasn't to cause anything bad with the investigation, but it actively hindered them. It became a crutch, and so the investigation needed to go. It needed to just go, so there's no more checking off boxes constantly. But because it existed, it allowed them a sense of comfortability. The illusion is a mirror to Minnie. The illusion intentionally is a mirror to Minnie. Marinate Kazuya isn't chicken or steak. Do you have to look at it in the stupid way? You know exactly what I mean. You literally know exactly what I mean. It literally let Kazuya simmer and literally let it all build up so he can grow properly. Now he has all the energy to grow how he wants to grow. Of course he isn't fucking chicken or steak or anything else for that matter. You can marinate anything. But the idea is that it let him marinate. Like, fuck it. You know what? Marinate doesn't necessarily just apply to food. Meaning. Fine. God, we had to. Pickle or brine. Right? Pickling can work too. Fine. God. Whatever. You get my idea. You don't have to make it weird. Kazuya is a 5 Wagyu. He is a delicious ass. Actually, wait. It does work. It does work because Chizuru is famished. Chizuru is hungry. And Kazuya is some delicious ass food, bro. So yeah, the idea is that it let him figure out how to grow. And it literally started here. It literally all started here. He took his first step and he got scared. And slowly he had to figure out how to move forward. Marinade sounds better than allowing him to pickle. What's marinade? What's the difference between marination and marinade? I don't get it. Whatever, man. Y'all have to go uncomplicated for no fucking reason. She's aching for that bacon. I feel like one of Minnie's bigger cock blocks that isn't talked about much is chapter 276. Imagine if Minnie wasn't there. The tension of that moment, the rising heartbeats would have been insane. Yeah, I mean, that I wouldn't think that's the biggest one. I actually didn't think Minnie did much there because the feeling was already there, but nothing. I don't think anything was gonna happen then. The point was that nothing was gonna happen then, and that's the thing. That's the thing. I think it's important to recognize Minnie existing and not going away is important because you need to be able to do things even if Minnie exists. Minnie being a cockblock shouldn't stop them from doing what they want to do because those things are not going to go away. Because what happens at the end of the arc, right? What happens at the end of chapter 285? Nothing is resolved. There's no actual resolution to any of their external conflicts. Ruka isn't gone. The lie isn't resolved. Minnie is still here. Umi's thing isn't resolved. Mami's thing isn't resolved. None of their big overarching problems are resolved. So it's important to recognize they should be able to do whatever they want regardless of who is there. That's the idea to me. Yeah, Minnie cockblocked them. Don't get me wrong. She hella got in the fucking way. But
they should be able to do what they want to do regardless of Minnie's presence. And I think that's what the story's kind of setting up. Chizuru is currently removing Minnie, but it's not like Minnie doesn't need to be a part of their lives. She will still be there. They just need to be able to do things regardless of Minnie's existence. Because it shouldn't matter. That's the idea. It shouldn't matter. So I think at the moment, Chizuru is seemingly removing Minnie's influence just for now, so that they can deal with stuff together. Because it's not Minnie's problem to fucking solve. It's not for her to solve. It's between them. Right? So in that sense, Minnie shouldn't be present. It's not for her to resolve anything. So removing Minnie is important. However, Minnie is still gonna be there. Their families are still gonna be there. Mami's still gonna be there. Ruka's still gonna be there. Umi is still gonna be there somewhere way, way, way in the fucking back, right? And so they should be able to do what they want regardless of those people's presence. That's the idea. I also don't think anything would have happened, but if Minnie wasn't there, no one would be there to break the tension with that we're feeling. Yes, but again, that's the idea. I keep saying, yeah, maybe something could have happened, but you shouldn't need to operate on maybes. That's the issue. That's the problem. You shouldn't need to operate on maybes or anyone else's presence on your relationship. It's yours. It's not anybody fucking else's. Literally, if they had more control at the time and genuinely believed in what they wanted, they could have just told Minnie, get the fuck out, we need some time alone. And then they make out or have sex. I don't fucking know what. See what I mean? But they couldn't because they were not confident in their own feelings. They were both struggling and insecure and not ready to face this stuff yet. The illusion needed to break now because they are ready. They just need to remove this idea of like hitting checkpoints or hitting check marks. And what does Minnie say? What does Minnie say when she first comes back? What does Minnie talk about when she first comes back? Right here. Souvenirs are like friendship checkpoints. No, they're not. Souvenirs are not friendship checkpoints. What the fuck are you talking about? That's just silly. She's treating it like a game. Minnie's issue is she treats relationships like a game. She's playing a dating sim. Minnie is literally playing Persona. And she has confidants and she's trying to raise her rankings with her confidants. That's not how it fucking works. That's not relationships. That's not how it works, dude. And we know Minnie plays gachas, and we know Minnie plays video games and watches anime and does all this stuff. She takes inspiration from YouTubers and all that shit, right? So it aligns perfectly with Minnie's character. So Minnie is still playing the game, the checkpoints, the check marks. She's trying to check off a list of the things she needs to do to, get Chizuru to talk. But in reality, that's all just a big fucking illusion. There is no checkpoints. There is no thing to do that. And they literally just removed that. They literally removed the idea of the investigation, of the research, of the checkpoints they need to hit in order to be in a relationship. Chizuru taking down the veil is her removing the idea that I need to put up some sort of protection, some sort of idea to be able to be good enough to be in love. She just said, I don't need to be good enough to be in love. I just am. It's literally the idea of self-acceptance. You don't need to hit a certain checkpoint to be in love. You don't need to get it the correct way to be in love. How they started their relationship doesn't matter. They're still fucking in love, right? If anything, the way the relationship started actually allowed them to get closer for that exact reason. Because they started the way that they did, they're actually even closer than they were before. Anywho, did the 1 month of dating Mami at the beginning of the manga affect how Kazuya approached the date with Chizuru? It's actually a secret mirror. That date is a secret dark mirror to this date. It's intentionally so because Mami is Chizuru's dark mirror. The entirety of Mami's character is Chizuru's dark mirror. Intentionally so. Like Chizuru, she is a professional liar. Except Chizuru doesn't lie to hurt people. She helps people with lies. Mami intentionally picks the worst version of a lie and intentionally hurts people. and validates her lies and hurting people. Lies aren't necessarily a bad thing, right? Chizuru acts out a lie with people to help them find their own truth. Mami lies to protect her own truth, right? She doesn't lie to help anybody. She lies just to fucking hurt people and validate the fact that she'd been through something, not for any other reason. To be fair, the intimacy was there, the small moments they had. Yes, the intimacy was real. Don't get me wrong. The intimacy was, in fact, real. That was the idea. All the experiences they had in the time they were living together was real. They just needed to take agency over it. That's the idea. They needed to take agency over these feelings rather than let them be dictated by the presence of other people. Watching shows, eating, talking. There are a lot of moments they had together. Yeah, intimacy isn't just about sex. It can be everything from talking, eye contact, closeness with each other, even just proximity to each other. I think the deepest intimacy you could truly feel with someone else is understanding. To feel truly seen and understood. In that sense, you are naked. In that sense, you are truly naked. Sex isn't just like, the epitome of intimacy. Sex is like absolute trust with someone. But it's become kind of a hobby, It's become kind of a hobby for some people. But I think in relationships, to truly be intimate with someone is to be completely open and vulnerable. And in a sense, you are naked. That is, in my opinion, what true intimacy is. And I think they literally kind of had that. In a sense, Kazuya and Chizuru had sex. They had true intimacy, literally physical and emotional vulnerability. That's what happened on that walk home. True emotional vulnerability, complete understanding of the other person. And because you understand this mask shouldn't scare you, or not this version of her, sorry, not a mask, this version of her shouldn't scare you, because that is still the real her. You should know better. In a sense, because we saw the real Chizuru, we should not be blinded by this. We should know better. However, it's very intentional. Chizuru is talking to Minnie, the audience surrogate, which, by the way, we're going to talk about in a little bit. Reiji in the Ruka Project stream that he did straight up said he wrote Minnie to represent the readers. So isn't it fitting that when you go to Reddit, people are basing out Chizuru is saying solely on the fact that she's interacting with their surrogate. And she's not telling them the truth when they should know the truth. But they literally take her words immediately as they are and don't trust her. They don't see the real Chizuru literally hidden in plain sight. Everything about this is the real Chizuru in plain sight. The entire thing is an expression of Chizuru's love hidden in plain sight. And you can't see it because you're Minnie and you don't have context, and you trust Minnie who does not have context and does not know. Reiji intentionally gives you context and contrasts that with Minnie, who doesn't have context. So naturally, you shouldn't trust anything Minnie is being told. But people still believe it because they're fucking stupid. That's not really accurate, though, Johan. One prominent aspect of sexuality is subtlety, and Minnie is subtle as a brick to the face. Her presence will make a difference. It shouldn't, though. Yes, it does, but they shouldn't let it because it's an active choice. Sexuality isn't necessarily about subtlety, actually. I don't agree with that. Sexuality isn't necessarily... No, it's not necessarily about subtlety. Some people are very direct about it. If Kazuya was more honest with himself, his sexuality would be a lot more direct. But he stops himself, just as Chizuru is actually a lot more direct than she appears. So in a sense, it's a choice. It's always a choice. It's literally just don't let Minnie dictate that. Just because she's extreme and like a brick to the face, it doesn't mean you should let her control everything. Because Minnie, unfortunately, will fucking bulldoze you. That's what she does. She's kind of like Ruka in that sense. She will just bulldoze to get what she wants. There's a reason Reiji intentionally compares her to fucking who? Oda Nobunaga, a dude who's notorious for fucking bulldozing shit down. That's literally what he fucking does. He bulldozes shit down. The dude did not give a shit. He just goes crazy. And in the end, it blew up in his face. Because of course it fucking did. Chizuru and Kazuya need to pretend. Chizuru and Kazuya need to pretend that everyone else doesn't exist and commits to the face of core issue of relationship with themselves. Not pretend, just recognize they exist and still choose to not let them make the decisions for you. Because they're not going to go away. You pretending they're not there doesn't make them go away. They're still fucking there, right? In a sense, that's what happens in Hawaiians. In Hawaiians, they kind of ignore everyone else for the feelings that they're feeling for each other, but they're still there and they didn't go away and they came back and they shot them in the goddamn foot. That's what happened with Mami. That's what happened with Ruka, right? So now what this is doing is you're acknowledging everyone is there because you got to be away from them a little bit, but you can face them now. In a sense, Kazuya and Chizuru are actually more prepared to face all of these problems together because they got to be away from them and understand themselves better and grow because of it. I can't remember at the moment, but does Kazuya ever compliment Chizuru when she's undercover with her nerdy persona at college? Yes, he does, actually. Yeah, well, I don't know. Wait, does he? Like, not to her face. I don't think so. He does call, like in the booze arc. I remember in the booze arc, he tells her she's great. But, I don't know. Maybe. I can't remember any off the top of my head. If Minnie was not with them during the cohabitation, Kazuya and Chizuru would have been a couple sooner. Not necessarily. I actually think they needed Minnie as a crutch. In some ways, Minnie was like the ultimate cockblock and kind of a good crutch too. Minnie helped, but also got in the way. It's kind of both, and it's a bit of a toss-up. It's almost like they needed Minnie and they didn't. In a way, it's literally like Minnie was like a coping mechanism in a sense. They kind of needed Minnie to feel more comfortable, but Minnie also really kind of got in the way. And I can say that confidently because Minnie is both the support and the antagonist. She does this, and we can be certain of this because at certain points, Kazuya got to know certain things because Minnie was there. Chizuru got to be comfortable in certain ways because Minnie was there. A great example of this is the birthday arc. Chizuru's birthday arc, the second one we got, was really important. Minnie's presence was, in fact, very important for a very simple reason. Kazuya couldn't have resolved Chizuru's conflict with her coworkers because that's not something Kazuya could be there for Chizuru in that sense, because all Chizuru wanted was a sense of belonging and friends. So when Chizuru sees the cake, she talks to Minnie directly because Minnie kind of represents that in a sense. Shouldn't you have taken a picture, huh? Isn't this cake from a famous place? It was a beautiful one too, so I was just wondering if you wanted to take a picture or something. Kazuya couldn't have resolved this, and neither could have Sumi. Chizuru needed Minnie's presence for this particular conflict. And so Minnie's presence actually works. It's not just a complete hindrance. It is necessary for Chizuru to feel a sense of belonging by the end of the chapter because of Minnie. So when Chizuru says this to Minnie, but Minnie's talking to her, Minnie doesn't understand. But she says, "Are you okay with it? Doesn't it feel weird like turning someone's birthday into some sort of cheap festival?" So in that sense, it is important. Minnie's presence is in fact important. She helped. Chizuru felt seen here, in a way she hadn't felt with Sumi. Sumi gave her something she needed, which was a hug. Minnie, in contrast, helped her feel seen. And Kazuya, in the very end, showed how much he loved her, even though it wasn't properly conveyed, right? Because he couldn't compliment her. He couldn't compliment her play like he wanted to, but he was able to give her a gift to show how much she mattered to him, and that gift had a lot more meaning than it looked, right? Kazuya's action, not just his words. Each character did something particularly important for Chizuru on her birthday. Right? Sumi let her open up. Minnie made her feel seen. and Kazuya accepted her. Right? So in that sense, each character did something important and each one mattered, and it shows how Minnie did in fact matter here. Isn't it fitting that Minnie makes her feel seen, but she literally can't see her? That's the idea. Minnie does matter in the arc, and I think she's not just a hindrance. Her presence was absolutely necessary in this arc, and there are many instances of this. In particular, Minnie's active challenge of Chizuru's personal space. Minnie actively, consistently gets into Chizuru's personal space. And that challenge of Chizuru's personal space is basically what Mami did, but in a safe way. What Minnie does to Chizuru is literally what Mami did, but in a safe way, which allows Chizuru to come to terms with her uncomfortability with intimacy, like physical closeness and intimacy. It allows her a sense of comfort with that. So when you have this chapter 273, let me pull it up. When you have Minnie literally jump into Chizuru's physical space right here, what happens right after this chapter? Kazuya and Chizuru get trapped in a closet together. And Chizuru initially is very closed off, very distant, very, very uncomfortable with it. And then what does Chizuru do? What does Chizuru afterwards do? She sees Kazuya and she tells him, it's fine, you can lean on me. Chizuru literally starts getting comfortable because Minnie does this thing in a way that actually challenges Chizuru, but in a safe environment. That Minnie isn't here to attack her. That's why Minnie is so effective. Minnie fucks up constantly, but she's not dangerous. That's what makes Minnie work so well in this arc. She's literally both an antagonistic figure and a support. In so doing, it allows you to feel a sense of comfort. She actively challenges you and does things you don't like, but in so doing, it actually makes you comfortable with these things. She makes you uncomfortable so you get comfortable with dealing with this stuff. It's literally like a safe, it's like essentially going into a practice range. That's kind of it. Or like dealing with a conflict in a safe way. That's pretty much what Minnie does. That's what makes Minnie so useful. So yes, she gets in the way, but that is a necessary crutch to allow them to deal with these conflicts in the future. And that's what makes her work so well. She's absolutely necessary in this arc. They definitely needed her, but they don't need her to be a crutch for them anymore. They need to be able to deal with this stuff on their own. And so there is an idea of somewhat removing Minnie for now, but I believe this will become a conflict to bring Minnie back. That just because you're in the way and you cause problems, and maybe we don't want you to be part of this relationship in such an invasive way, it doesn't mean we don't want you around. And I think that'll be something relevant to that, because I can see that being like kind of a reference to Finding Nemo, where there is a separation between Dory and Marlin and Nemo. I don't mean that directly to Finding Dory. Like, I don't know if it'll just do straight up Finding Dory, but that idea of like Minnie coming back and mattering and being part of the family will be kind of an important thing that will be addressed, but at the moment they kind of need to remove her a little bit. And I think that's what's kind of necessary. They kind of need to get Minnie a little bit out of the way. And then, in so doing, slowly bring her back comfortably. Let's see. It's clear that not calling her by her real name has a deeper meaning. I don't think it's just a habit of lack of confidence. I don't think it's just a habit or lack of confidence. Are you talking about Kazuya not calling her that? If you're referring to that, Reiji actually did talk about this idea that Kazuya doesn't call Chizuru by her real name. That doesn't matter. That actually, it does and it doesn't. It does and it doesn't. On one hand, it's a crutch. It's a sense of comfortability. It's something you are used to. And it's hard to break something you're kind of used to. In that same way, it reflects their fear of vulnerability and really showing what they actually want. And so in a sense, Mizuhara is something comfortable for Kazuya, as well as a kind of pet name. It has multiple meanings to it. And it's not like Chizuru particular minds. In that same way, you can say that Chizuru never saying his name is kind of a safety net for her and a kind of comfortability for her. that because saying his actual name is hard and not easy. And so it's a safety net that she doesn't have to say his name. However, now they can start slowly doing that. Now they can start slowly letting that out and actually being honest and saying what they want to say. It's a crutch, but it's not necessarily a bad thing either, right? And it would give more meaning to when they actually say each other's names, because now they can start doing that now that they're being more vulnerable and honest with each other. It is both. It's both a negative thing and a positive thing. Every single thing in this story has a negative meaning and a positive meaning. And I think people just tend to pick the one that's more comfortable to them, because just because something happens to be negative, that's all they'll see of it, that it is negative. I wonder if they would have ever caught each other's attention outside of the rental date. Actually, yes, they would have. But what made the rental date so special is that they got to know a special secret just between them. For instance, they lived right next to each other. Their grandmas were in the same hospital. Their friends were connected in school and met multiple times. And eventually, two of their friends from the same group ended up dating each other. There's no way Kazuya and Chizuru would not have interacted. What made meeting each other through rental special is that they got to share a special secret that only they knew and no one else did. And I think that's and I think the sheer coincidence nature of their meeting is a very special thing, because Chizuru actually protects herself really, really, really well in terms of hiding her secret. And the anime removes this in the latest episode. The anime removes this in the latest episode, but Mami, the only reason Mami discovered Ichinose was Mizuhara is because she fucking dug. Like, that girl was persistent, and she found it through sheer fucking commitment. Like, Mami really had to dig to piece two and two together. She didn't just magically find it by sheer dumb luck. She literally pieced together that, hey, this girl's name is Chizuru Ichinose, and Chizuru Ichinose was at the beach, and that girl seemed to be connected to those people. And then she looked up the crowdfunding, and her name is Chizuru Ichinose in the crowdfunding, but she looks like Chizuru Mizuhara. So she pieced it together, because Chizuru Ichinose and Chizuru Mizuhara are spelled completely differently. They're not spelled the same at all. So it's very easy to, like, it's actually hard to not find Chizuru. It's hard to find Chizuru. Like to piece two and two together, it's actually hard to find her and piece it together. Mami had to do it out of sheer fucking persistence. The only reason she was able to find her online is because she heard Chizuru Ichinose, she looked up Chizuru Ichinose, and there happened to be a crowdfunding, and she saw Chizuru Mizuhara. But there's no connection to the two. The only reason she knew is because she knew Mizuhara. So she literally, through sheer persistence, she found the two out. But what made Kazuya special is that he met Chizuru Mizuhara and was able to recognize Chizuru Ichinose in school, whereas other people may not have been able to, because she literally has the Clark Kent glasses. Let's see. Didn't her grandmother say that she is an awkward girl with her feelings, and ask Kazuya to be there so she can feel her feelings, or something like that? No, she said that Chizuru has a hard time accepting her feelings, and struggles with them, and she puts on an armor. And what Grandma Sayuri asked of Kazuya is that when she's really vulnerable, and she's trying to open up, please be there for her and just accept her. That's all Sayuri says. Just please be there for her and accept her when she wants to open up and be her truest self, or when she's having a hard time accepting her feelings and she doesn't know what she's going through. Just accept her and please be there for her. And then what does Kazuya say? I'll pull it up. Let's just pull it up, because that scene contextualizes that I've already talked about it in length before. That scene contextualizes the chapter 383. Like, you can understand chapter 383 because of this scene with Grandma Sayuri. Strong, my little Chizuru. When she was small, she was quite clingy and honestly a bit of a crybaby. No way she was. Absolutely. I can't begin to tell you how many times she cried because of the older kids in our neighborhood. And at night, she'd often crawl into my bed because she was afraid of sleeping alone. Right, Kazuya gets a little horny. Stop. Her grandma's right there. Get your shit together. Right? And at my age, I might not see the next sunrise. Yes, I didn't want to tell Chizuru, but I don't have long to live. She jokes, and she's just like, just kidding. So not funny. You know, Kazuya, I think one day you're going to make it big. I'm sorry, but you might be expecting too much. I'm sure you can do it, Kazuya. A fine, strapping young man like you. I'm sure of it. I have an eye for these things, you know. And it seems to me that you're already plenty strong yourself. Me. Nobody's perfect. Sometimes we get lost. Sometimes we fall down. We know that we're weak and we know that we're fragile. But still, we get back up again and again to pursue happiness. That's life. The true potential of human beings lies in the fact that even in our lowest moments, we can still rejoice in the success of others. We can learn to accept and live with all our feelings as they are. Just live with your feelings as they are. They don't need to be something else. What did I say Chizuru was doing? That's something you've learned, Kazuya. You've unlocked that potential. As far as men go, you're one of the biggest out there. Chizuru is not very good at accepting her weaknesses. Instead, she hides her weakness by wearing her strong persona like a suit of armor. In a sense, she's truly an accomplished actress. When you look at this chapter, you think Chizuru is wearing an armor. In reality, she's just being honest with herself. She's not wearing a strong suit of armor anymore. She's not actually hiding. This is just Chizuru being honest with herself and using that armor she's used this entire time as a strength, rather than something to hide her weaknesses. She's using this thing that she hated before. Literally, she tells Minnie this. Remember what she told Minnie? What does Minnie tell her here? There's no need to think so little of your rental persona. I truly believe you are kind to Master because you're such a kind person to yourself. She tried to disassociate herself from her personas, from this thing that she created to allow herself to feel comfortable. But you don't need to. You can use that as a strength. You don't need to separate this part of yourself and deny it. It can be a strength for you. In the same way that I think when Mami is more honest and true to herself, just because she's a nice person now, it doesn't mean she can't use that like insane fucking I'm gonna mess you up aura she's got to get shit done. She can use that. Mami has a crazy strength that she can utilize even when she gets her shit together and stops being an asshole. Like right now she's trying to, but Mami's trying to deny this part of herself. In reality, if Mami just accepts the fucking shitter version of herself, the vindictive, cruel version of herself that can fuck people up, it can be useful for her in a positive way. In that same way, that's what Chizuru's doing here. She rechanneled her strong persona into something that doesn't protect her weakness, but uses it to protect the people around her. She's reusing the purpose of that. In a sense, she's truly an accomplished actress. But she can't keep that act up forever. One of these days, she will need someone who she can show her true self to. That's why I ask that you please take care of our Chizuru. Please accept her when she needs it most. See the true version of her and accept her, just as you accept your feelings. And that's literally what he did in chapter 383. Straight up, this is what he did. And what is Kazuya's answer to Sayuri? What does he tell her? I can't just say some cliche like I'll always be there for her. That'd be too irresponsible. But what I can say is I love her. I love Chizuru more than I've ever loved anyone before. What is Kazuya's answer to Chizuru in chapter 383? What are his exact words? I don't think it's possible for me in my lifetime to love anyone more than I love you. More than I've ever loved anyone before. He says the same exact words, just a little bit differently. There's more meaning to them now. The same exact thing he did for Sayuri, he did for Chizuru here. And she got it. He literally conveyed his truest feelings. He can't say, "I'll never leave you. I'll never be there." That'd be too irresponsible. He doesn't tell her, "I'll always be here." He just tells her, "There's no way I'll ever stop loving you." Right? He doesn't lie. He doesn't talk about some magical fantasy or anything like that. He just says his feelings, and that his feelings are completely accept her and always be there for her. His feelings will never go away. He may, but his feelings never will. Literally like Kazuya leaving. Kazuya left, but his feelings didn't. They're always here. They will never leave her. Just as when the people that you love pass away, they're never really gone. They're still here in your heart and your feelings. You're still connected to them in some meaningful way, even though they may be gone. They imparted onto you a memory, a feeling, an experience. This is that. It's literally echoing back to Sayuri. Minnie is the third wheel, and Kazuya's wing woman. Yeah, she's both. Yeah, Minnie's literally both, a third wheel and wing woman. Chizuru's dark mirror is Mami. In a previous stream, I called her a plot device. I take that back completely. I was thinking and realized that Mami is the side character most connected to fate and destiny. Chizuru x Kazuya is destiny, and Mami repeatedly became an instrument of fate, contributing towards it. The breakup led Kazuya to Diamond, to which Chizuru is up and coming. I'm gonna read you something I wrote about Mami. That like, I don't think Mami is an instrument of destiny. Mami is a fundamental challenge to Chizuru, and Chizuru's ideals went out in the end. Mami is a fundamental challenge to Chizuru's ideals and beliefs. And I haven't finished writing this. Just to be clear, I have not finished writing this portion about Mami. But I wanted to talk about it. Okay. Mami is like the traditional villain to Chizuru's hero. She's a twisted, dark reflection of her. Mami lies all the time. She gives people hope and tears that away. In fact, her whole life is a lie. But she's aware of this. In fact, she despises this. She despises this part of herself. Mami hates herself because she can't overcome the adversity in her life. Mami is the death of innocence, the destruction of dreams, hopes, and beliefs in a brighter future. She is fundamentally antithetical to these ideas. She cannot dream for a brighter future because all she has known is her cage. She cannot dream or believe in community or in the goodness of others because all she has known her whole life is manipulation, betrayal, and deception. And she can't let herself believe. She has to crush that part of herself, oppress it like it was oppressed, control it, cage it up, force it to be something else. This whole arc is just Mami validating her trauma so she can say, "I gave up on love because, see, the world is cruel and there is no compassion or goodness in the face of absolute authority. All ideals and beliefs crumble before power." Chizuru, in contrast, is the opposite. She wants to find something genuine even if it was born from a lie. That there are real and meaningful connections in all of us, no matter where or who they come from. Even Mami. Even to the bitter end, she wants to believe and hope that there is still good in Mami. She has to believe this. She has to believe her final moments with her grandma that transcended all of those lies. The reason Chizuru wants to believe that there's something genuine there, even if it was born from a lie, is because of that final moment with Sayuri. Because with Sayuri, what happens? None of the lies, none of the truths, none of the harsh, cruel realities, none of that shit mattered. All that mattered in the very end of Sayuri's life was, are you happy? If you're happy, I'm happy. That's all I care about. I don't care about anything else. I don't care if you lied. I don't care if there was truth. None of that shit matters. Was there something genuine there? Was their happiness real? That's what matters. That's the argument. That's the fundamental argument. And it's very easy to side with Mami because people don't want to trust each other. So Mami makes more sense. The cruelty and the truth that Mami talks about, pick the harsh reality, pick the red pill, because the red pill is the truth. But that's just a fucking lie. That's just all. You're literally just picking a harsh reality for what? So because it's the truth. What's the point of the truth if it just fucking hurts people? Right? What's the point of that shit if it just fucking hurts people? If anything, why can't you ease people into it, help them through it? Why are there only two options? You have many different options. Why are we limited to two options? Why is it always binary when there should be A through Z, all the fucking numbers in the goddamn alphabet, right? You're never limited to two options. That is the illusion of choice. Let me keep reading with what I wrote. Let's see here. She has to believe her final moments with her grandma that transcended all the lies. All the hurt and pain is real. That all the hurt and the pain is real. That the only real true choice in this world is our choice to connect to each other. Not lies, truth, or anything in between. That our ties, our connections transcend all barriers and we can truly form community through love, empathy, and understanding. Mami and Chizuru are fundamentally contrasting ideologies. One is a realist, daring to dream and believe in a world that has constantly taken her loved ones away, and one is a cynic, bordering on a nihilist, never knowing love and being burned by it all through, never knowing love and being burned by it, and being, never knowing love and being burned by her love. So all she can truly believe in is the cruelty that took her innocence. She cannot see any goodness in Chizuru, not because Chizuru is bad, but because she needs to be bad. This is a direct parallel to the real life individuals who want to villainize and hate each other and hate others, whether it be because of their jobs, background, or how they appear, all in an effort to validate their own experiences, their own hurt. They can't believe in connection. All they can truly trust is their envy, their power, their superiority, their authority. When Mami and Chizuru clash, Chizuru intentionally appears childish. What I'm referring to is right here. Let me pull it up. I think it's chapter 216 or 217. My bad. 217. Chizuru intentionally appears weaker and more childish than Mami. That's by design. Mami is meant to look mature and old and all that stuff. Let's see here. She pleads with the inner child in Mami, the kindness and the goodness. That if there is anything left in there, please believe her. Please trust someone. Please let anyone in. Just give me one more chance. Let's talk it out one more time, Mami-san. I'm sorry. I know this all seems self-serving to you, and I doubt you'd ever sympathize, but this is all I can do at this point. Please, I'm begging you. Please. Chizuru doesn't want to attack or hurt Mami. She has no advantage here. She's just saying, please trust me. Please believe in someone. Please try to actually see the kindness, love, and heart Kazuya has to give. Her words crumble to simple pleas. It's desperate, sad, and just wanting Mami to just open her eyes, to remove the black shadows on her eyes right here. To remove these black shadows and actually see people. Mami's actions lead to the death of Kazuya's dream. That's the point. Her actions lead to the death of Kazuya's dream. Chapter 218 happens not simply because of Chizuru, but more directly because of Mami, who actively cornered and pressured Chizuru, leading her to do the one thing she didn't want to do: hurt Kazuya, destroy his innocence, his dreams, his belief in a brighter future. And yet, in the end, when it all breaks and the death of nihilism comes to end it all, Kazuya still chooses to believe, even if there is no love for him. Even if any love or joy or hope is gone for him, he still chooses to believe and see the best in people. Kazuya's lie is layered here. It's not simply him covering for Chizuru. It's a lie that fundamentally does not work unless you choose to believe and trust in others. It is not meant to be convincing. It's not meant to work. It's Kazuya's desperate plea with the people he loves to connect to people even when every bias is screaming at them to do otherwise. Reiji makes a brilliant choice here. Mami does the thing that most antagonists do that makes them hateable. She destroys the hero's dream, and our hearts and or hurts someone we care about and or are cheering for. She hurts Kazuya. Mami's actions hurt Kazuya, like dearly, and we fucking hate her. But however, Reiji here intentionally has Chizuru do the deed. In so doing, leveraging Mami's argument as believable to the readers because because we literally just saw it happen. The story intentionally gaslights you into believing Mami's arguments and Mami's argument and weakens Chizuru's argument. What does Mami say to Chizuru here when Chizuru tries to plead with her? So this is what it's done to you. Day after day of constant lying, you and I seem to have different views on the value of lies, says the person who lies every fucking day. Saying things like that now is just going to end up breaking her heart in the future. She's talking about Nagomi. How did that turn out for your grandmother, right? It didn't turn out... Grandma Sayuri took it like a champ. She didn't fucking care, but she's framing it like Grandma Sayuri got really hurt. And it destroyed Grandma Sayuri, and it was terrible. Where do you think Chizuru's guilt for Grandma Sayuri stems from? She wasn't guilty before. She became guilty because of Mami. She started doubting herself and her choices because of fucking Mami. And have you ever thought for a moment that your client might have an actual girlfriend waiting for him to come home? You think she didn't? She was literally thinking about that. And Kazuya literally said, I don't want Ruka, I want you. But Mami conveniently sounds convincing because of how Chizuru just recently heard Kazuya. So now Mami sounds more convincing. It's by design. It is literally challenging you to trust Chizuru. Even if your lies seem to make people happy at that moment, when it all comes back around, they just make people miserable. You're a rental girlfriend, so maybe you can't help any of it. In and of itself, a lie is evil, even from you. Says the person who lies and conveniently coats the truth with the worst possible, most miserable, gross-ass outcome. How convenient. It's all just to validate herself. This is just Mami validating her own experiences. It has nothing to do with truth and goodness and people. She doesn't care about any of that, despite the fact that nobody else seems to think this way or care about this, except for her. This is to challenge you to believe. This is to challenge you to believe and see the goodness in Kazuya and Chizuru. Remember everything you saw and experienced with them, and many people simply didn't or just refused to. They wanted to agree with Mami. And Reiji, when seeing the reaction, Reiji, when seeing this reaction, especially after chapter 218, did something crazy. He rewrote the entire finale. 4 weeks worth of work scrapped and restarted, not only to make it more climactic, but to intentionally do one thing. Make it super fast and reactionary. In the original draft, Mami meets Nagomi and Kazuya's family in secret. Sees her cry from joy, and then intentionally leaves her phone behind, has it make a noise, and then Nagomi looks at it. She sees Chizuru's rental girlfriend site, which then leads into the pool confrontation, escalating slowly. Here, Reiji doesn't give characters a moment to breathe and think. They don't get to settle down. Mami hangs out with Chizuru, leading her into a false sense of security before feigning ignorance that it happened. She intentionally removes herself from the bad guy role and frames it like it was an accident, framing Chizuru as the antagonist all along. And everyone believes it. She stole his college money. She used him. See, she rejected him. She didn't deny anything he said. She didn't deny anything Mami said. It must be true. Her manipulation of information fundamentally operates itself around our distrust that Kazuya could ever, in a million years, be with a girl like Chizuru. It works around the incompetence you believe Kazuya has. That the belief that he is a terrible, irredeemable person who deserves nothing. It is pure and vile envy of someone we believe should not have what we want. And this is exactly how Mami feels about Chizuru. This is why she is the enemy in her speech. Chizuru has no leverage here. She's in a completely losing position, and she tries to reason with Mami anyway. Chizuru literally gets nothing here by trying to reason with Mami. She doesn't persevere her job. Mami can still out and ruin everything at any time. Chizuru is just pleading for a little time and faith. That's it. But Mami doesn't care. There's nothing Chizuru can do here. It's very intentional that Mami drags Chizuru by the very same hand that Kazuya grabbed while they were walking hand in hand. So in chapter 216, the way it starts is this. They're walking hand in hand, just as Kazuya and Chizuru were supposed to be walking hand in hand. Instead, it's Mami. So yeah, I think I read a decent amount of that. It's not organized. It's not completely organized, but I wanted to read that for you guys to just highlight how the Mami is more than just a plot device. She's not a thing of fate. She is a fundamental challenge to Chizuru's beliefs and ideologies. She is her antithetical. And in the end, Chizuru wins because she uses the lie to help people and proves Mami fundamentally wrong. That lies can, in fact, help and save people. This is why Reiji intentionally references Pinocchio. Because the end of Pinocchio is literally this. That for most of the story, Pinocchio hurts people with his lies. But in the end of Pinocchio, what happens? The lie saves them. Pinocchio lies to save them. Trying to find the cover where we have Pinocchio. It's literally Mami sitting next to Pinocchio. I just don't know where it is. 210, 209, nope, 208, 207 maybe. Yep, 207. He intentionally references Pinocchio. And this is the chapter when Mami does this. Fucking demonize. Jesus Christ. So yeah, I kind of popped off there a little bit. Sorry. You guys got a glimpse of the shit I've been writing. You guys got a fucking glimpse of the shit I've been writing. I went fucking nuts, dude. Okay. Let's see what else people wrote here. Genuine thought, what would you say come from Chizuru and Minnie talk about Umi's situation, where Minnie and Kazuya about Umi confess to Chizuru knows how Kazuya feels insecure about Umi, no dooming or anything. I think Kazuya needs to tell Chizuru about Umi. I don't think Minnie should. If Minnie brings it up, it would be interesting, but I think it's supposed to be Kazuya. I think Kazuya is supposed to ask. Reishi sets it up so Kazuya would ask. It is supposed to be a talk between them. That is supposed to be important, but it's also not supposed to be scary. The whole thing Reiji seems to be doing is that you shouldn't. The thing Reiji seems to be repeating, and that is relevant here, is that you shouldn't be afraid of the sea, in a sense, especially when you realize that the town Kazuya and Chizuru live in has an entire sea festival around the specific food that Chizuru makes in chapter 387. So the food that Chizuru makes in this chapter is Pacific Sauri. Pacific Sauri in Japanese is translated to autumn swordfish. It is a fish specifically signaling the coming of autumn, specifically because you mostly get this fish during autumn. That's when it's the most abundant. What makes it interesting, though, is that now it's almost summertime in the story. So it doesn't make sense for this fish to be there, except that's intentional. Not only as a nod to us as the readers, because we're literally entering autumn in real life, but more so because you can get this fish during the summer, but it costs more. So Chizuru intentionally buys this fish, which matches her contradiction in this chapter, that costs more money to reflect the fact that she's celebrating, because that's the point. This fish is This fish is kind of special because I talked to some Japanese fans and it has relevance right now. For instance, right here, Minnie talks about Meguro City's loop line bus is called Pacific Sauri Bus. Did you know that? Kazuya and Chizuru live in Meguro, which is where this is from. So this entire location that they're at has an entire sea motif, which is why at the very end of Kazuya and Chizuru's date, where do they go? They go to the sea. Umi is a direct reference to this, but so is Mami. Mami's last name is Nanami, the seven seas. Umi literally means center of the sea. Do you see how their names directly parallel this theme of the ocean and the sea? Then you introduce Finding Nemo the Finding Nemo fish keychain. Directly mirrors this. There's an entire motif of sea. I've also written something for that. I can read it shortly to delve into this idea that the sea is very relevant here. But for now, I can pull up what that user said. I think it's in my replies. Where was it? So I was talking to this user, and they wrote, we made it out, but we also kissed. The deliciousness and slight bitterness of the Sauri, truly a fitting dinner to cap off the coexistence. Too sophisticated, this rom-com. Maybe even director Aozo's reading it in heaven. So I asked if the fish is expensive. He says, the flesh of the Sayuri itself has no bitterness, since Sayuri is a fish without a stomach. Waste products are less likely to remain in its entrails, and in Japan, many people consider the entrails Sayuri to be edible. In that case, the components contain the bile cause the sensation of bitterness. However, many people avoid eating it because they dislike the bitterness. I continued asking some questions, if it'll work. The catch has decreased, and in recent years, Sayuri has become an expensive fish, but it used to be an affordable and very delicious fish for the masses in Japan. As the characters in its name suggests, it is a fish that represents the autumn season and frequently appears in Japanese haiku, tanku, movies, and novels. And I say that reflects Chizuru's contradiction in plain sight. The contents of the meal is the most common in Japan and is best interpreted as the ideal home-cooked meal made by a mother. An ordinary, unremarkable, yet nutritional, balanced, and lovingly prepared dish. Does not match Chizuru. She appears ordinary, unremarkable. She looks completely normal. And yet, she stands out more because of how loving she appears. He interprets it as, simply put, is the gratitude of report for Iomori who kept my company during the month of cohabitation. I contradicted this, saying, I actually think it's for Kazuya, and he ends up kind of saying, you know what, maybe you're right. As always, your stories are fascinating. It might indeed be correct to read it this way, that it is for Kazuya and not for Minnie. So, and he's like, I tend to overanalyze, so I always end up overanalyzing. I'm like, fucking man, I overanalyze all the time. I fucking love overanalyzing. They wrote something else. I think it was, where was it? I think it might have been here. Yeah, he wrote something else here. The Tokyo neighborhood of Meguro, where Kazuya and Chizuru live, is considered a place deeply connected to the fish because it hosts a famous event called the Senma Festival. Senma is another way to say Pacific Sauri. Although I don't know how it is written in the translated version, it is clear from the fact that Iomori tells Chizuru during a meal that the name of their circular bus running towards Meguro is the Senma bus. So this whole theme of the sea and the ocean is a very direct thing, and the sea literally defines Kazuya and Chizuru's relationship. It both connects and divides them. It is literally the source of their connection. So the sea is very, very important here. I'll have to pull up the other thing I wrote for the ocean that where the hell did I put it? Let's see. Damn, where the hell did I write it? Ah, it's a completely different page. My bad. The sea represents Kazuya's greatest transformations and his deepest fears, because you can't grow without adversity. When Kazuya first meets Umi, he represents everything Kazuya was afraid of and loved when it came to the sea, because his name means sea, in particular, the center of the sea. And he showed up after the ferry incident, but it was all a sea mirage. Chizuru went to Umi, the sea, to find something for Kazuya who loves marine life. Umi Nakano literally means center of the sea. He is the ocean that Kazuya dives into to save Chizuru. He holds the marine life that Kazuya loved. Just as Umi is, in Kazuya's eyes, able to do everything he wishes he could do, Chizuru goes to the center of the sea. Chizuru goes to the center of the sea to get a gift for Kazuya, who dove into the very same sea and fell off a tree to make sure she is okay. To apologize for leaving him to deal with Ruka alone when before they agreed to work with each other. She wanted to be there for him like he was there for her. Something that's even reinforced here when Kazuya admits to stalking them and apologizes, but also admits that midway through, he thought Umi was tricking her, like he was dangerous, like the sea was dangerous. This stupid mistake where Kazuya stalked Chizuru and Chizuru didn't talk to Kazuya for a month and left him to deal with Ruka alone when they were supposed to be working through it together actually brought them closer. It didn't divide them because they didn't see the mistake, but the action and the choices the person took. It's no coincidence that chapter 386 released on Ocean Day. So, if you guys don't know, this chapter 386, it literally released on Ocean Day, which is kind of fucking bonkers. So yeah, a public holiday in Japan that gives thanks for the ocean's bounty and remembers the importance of the ocean in Japan as a marine nation. Jesus, the time of this thoroughly coincides with the end of the rainy season, Tsuyu, in much of Japan's mainland, literally matching the current story and how rain literally haunted this Joypolis arc. Even if they are across the whole ocean, they will find each other again, because the same thing that divides them also connects them. Separation is but an illusion. Mizuhara literally means a plane of water, whereas Ichinose means one current or riptide. Rather than separating them, in fact, despite this moment being by many being labeled as Kazuya being rewarded for his terrible actions, I'm referring to when he stalked Chizuru, it's in fact Kazuya being seen outside of them, that he is not his mistakes and still loved and accepted despite what happened, because he is a good person. This moment ends up being so transformative for him that not only does he never do something like this again, he actively tries to become someone he can be proud of, because for Chizuru, being there for Chizuru as she was there for him. The date ending with the sea and Kazuya facing it as he is rejected is fitting, for he must face the vastness of the ocean if he is ever to be able to love without being it. You can't be the sea. You can understand the sea, but you can't tame it. You can, however, face it without fear. It's fitting that Finding Nemo is the film that is referenced by Reiji, a film about exploring the sea and finding ourselves and our loved ones in it. That it's not something to fear, but something to traverse and explore, to experience, a whole journey to undergo. It's fitting that Kazuya in the end wants to know more about what happened with Umi rather than being afraid of it. He wants to know and explore. He's curious and full of questions about the world, as a child would be, just like Nemo is. Chizuru isn't afraid of the sea anymore. Chizuru isn't afraid of the sea anymore either. It got them to where they are now. The sea brings them closer every time. It is literally the glue to their relationship, whether it be the actual ocean or even Umi himself. When Umi visits Chizuru's home, he makes a selfish choice to not let Chizuru reject him despite knowing his chances suck. If Umi, who has no chance, is still trying, what is she afraid of? This actually sparks Chizuru to take a risk too, and asks Kazuya out on a date. And that date ends up being so important she can't stop thinking about it the whole time. She literally got to explore Kazuya, just as Kazuya began to trust her path. Umi was there. Umi was there when they reconnected, and he was there when Kazuya's fog cleared. Just as Umi is not something to fear. He may look scary, but he is not a threat. Do not fear the sea, accept it. It's fitting that after they are the after they are at the ocean at Umi, Chizuru, like Kazuya at the Tiger's Den, finds clarity on her. Chizuru, like Kazuya at the Tiger's Den, finds clarity on her love. The ocean can be dangerous and painful, but it can also be a source of cleansing and renewal, of rebirth. I can read the rest later in a video or something. This is still not ironed out, but yeah, the whole idea is to just embrace the ocean and not be afraid of it, to not be afraid of these things. So that's why Reiji's has such a huge ocean water motif, the blue, the colors, all that stuff. Literally, Chizuru has a blue motif, Kazuya has a blue motif. They literally go to the fucking sea base city for their date. Like, that's the idea. And when Kazuya wants to make the lie come true, Mami exposes them and makes it happen in that way. It clarifies things so they aren't forced to lie in the future. It also makes the kiss happen. Both Chizuru and Mami have a jaded worldview. Chizuru does not have a jaded worldview. She just sees the cruel reality and chooses to believe anyway because of what her grandpa taught her. Mami did not have a grandpa. She didn't have someone who taught her otherwise. The idea is to keep dreaming because dreams transform us. Not to quote Superman, but yeah, that's pretty much what Superman says. Anyways. A bit of a plot hole, but I'm nitpicking. Kazuya never seeing Chizuru before the rental date. Kazuya never seeing Chizuru before their rental date? What are you talking about? Oh, no. If you're talking about the 3-month time skip, that's intentional. That's intentional. They were both avoiding each other. If you're talking about the 3-month time skip, they were both avoiding each other. That is by design. They were both doing it. It wasn't just Kazuya. Right? Kazuya actually intentionally avoided Chizuru too. That was by design. Kazuya was also intentionally avoiding Chizuru, and the signs were very much there. And he didn't realize he was doing this. She may have not responded and ghosted him, but Kazuya also perpetuated this in how he approached things. Because all he tried to do when trying to reach her is 2 things. Knock on her door twice, that's it, and she may or may not have been there, and he didn't try to respond or say anything. He texted her over a coupon, not actually over anything meaningful. He never texts her again. And then he tries to use rental, the one thing she feels terrible about. So Chizuru literally feels cornered. And Kazuya keeps thinking he's a stalker. He convinces himself he's a stalker because of that one time. He's scared that Chizuru will hate him, so he convinces himself in every conceivable way that Chizuru will hate him, so naturally he makes that a reality. Kazuya made his own fears into reality, just as Chizuru couldn't reach out to him. Kazuya also they both intentionally avoided each other. That was by design. They didn't want to see each other. They were both scared to. It wasn't just Kazuya and Chizuru. They were both doing it. Sorry, it wasn't just Chizuru. It was Kazuya too. Bruce tried to stuff down the Hulk when all he had to do was learn how to aim it. You think Minnie likes Kazuya romantically? If so, could she intentionally get in the way of them getting together? No, I don't think so. I think Minnie felt that feeling and still chose to be friends. I genuinely think that's what it is. But we'll see. I do. It might become a conflict later. You never know. I think he may not have noticed her as she was so plain looking. She was essentially a background. No, it's because Minnie always supported their relationship that Kazuya never thought about her in that way. He did see her like physically sometimes, but he never considered her a girl because she was always just so supportive and bro. So maybe next chapter Kazuya will make the final choice on what he truly wants based on his true feelings in the kiss. Mami pretty much derailed Chizuru's confidence. Mami destroyed Chizuru's confidence in everything she understood. Mami literally ruined Chizuru's confidence. Absolutely shattered it. Like a lot of Chizuru's insecurities stem from Mami. Like absolutely. Mami and Ruka. both like are kind of like two sides of the same coin for Chizuru. Ruka is the derailment of Chizuru's future. Mami is Chizuru's past haunting her. They both represent a certain and so that's what makes Minnie perfect, because Minnie is the present and the future. Minnie is literally the present. Minnie is the present, which is in between the past and the future. So in a sense, she's both Mami and Ruka. That's what makes Minnie so interesting. She's Mami and Ruka in a safe, controlled environment. Maybe you've already talked about this, but why do you think Ruka is obsessed with him? It's not love or lust or like. No, Ruka definitely fell in love. No. Ruka's feelings for Kazuya started as an infatuation with an idea. She eventually did, in fact, fall in love. She, in fact, did fall in love with Kazuya. Ruka is definitely in love with Kazuya, but her kind of love is actually not super compatible with Kazuya. And when I say compatible, I don't mean physical. I mean like emotional compatibility. I think Ruka is a good girlfriend. She's cute. She can be kind of forceful, but it doesn't work with Kazuya. She's not what Kazuya wants, and she unintentionally disregards what he wants quite a lot. And that's just unfortunate that like Ruka's whole thing is seemingly kind of gonna end soon. Like Reiji perfectly captures it in chapter 348 and 49, where Ruka's actions unintentionally push Kazuya away, and she doesn't even realize she's doing this. Ruka at her best, Ruka at her literal best, when she believes in him, trusts him, and is always on his side, is actually pushing Kazuya away, and she doesn't even know she's doing this. Like, they still see each other in the background in that in the month where Kazuya is living with Chizuru, and still Kazuya doesn't feel any closer to Ruka. Think about that for a second. Don't fear the sea, looks up angular fish. Me, fuck the ocean. I was talking about them before they actually started the rental stuff. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Oh, you mean they never ran into each other prior to that point? Reiji does draw like a chapter 0 of sorts where they would like, because they have different schedules, so they just never ran into each other. Chizuru would always like leave before him and stuff, so they had different schedules. That's why they never ran into each other. That was the idea. And it was the idea of fate that like, oh, was it just a coincidence that they happened to live next to each other, or was it fate? And that's why this chapter really grew on me after a while. Chapter, what was it? I think this one, chapter 372. This chapter really grew on me after a while because they get asked, do you believe in fate bringing people together? Kazuya presses yes immediately. And then Chizuru also presses yes. As if he's saying, you're my fated person. And the rain starts to clear up because of this. She starts to find more confidence in her beliefs. Now, listen to what Kazuya said prior to this. She's thinking about the same thing. It's strange. She's always so perceptive. It's like she can read my mind and know how I feel. I feel like I can share all my troubles and happiness with you, no matter how small they might be. I've always seen you as nothing other than a perfect match for me. I want to date her. I want to date Mizuhara. When Kazuya does this, literally thinks the same thing as her, every single thought you just heard from Kazuya, you can hear from Chizuru right here. It's like he knows what I'm thinking. It's like I can share everything with him and be honest with him and show my full self to him. This scene is important. And it actually reflects what Chizuru says later in the next chapter. Or if you go to the next chapter, this is when Chizuru says this line. Plus, it brought me to you. Mizuhara, do you mean I'm not going to say it again? Like they met through fate. They want to believe that their relationship is fated. They want to believe they're that special someone. That they were brought together because they were meant to be. They want to believe in dreams despite all the world being cynical, sad, and doom and gloom.
I understand the 3 month ghosting, but I think that it needed to be treated suspending a little bit of disbelief. I mean, they're neighbors, students at the same university. How can they reach each other? How can they not reach each other for 3 months? Elaborate more on the Ruka part. Is it because she was with Kazuya right now? No, Reiji literally said they didn't want to see each other, and you can do that. Kazuya and Chizuru know each other's schedules. They can intentionally avoid each other. It is totally possible. Kazuya knows when Chizuru leaves, they can easily avoid each other. They can be a lot more sensitive about how they approach it. A part of it is supposed to kind of be shocking and doesn't make any fucking sense. There's two meanings to this. One, it's a part of it is that they intentionally avoided each other. Two, it's supposed to be insane by design because they literally live right next to each other and somehow found a way to not talk to the other person in that entire time. They have so many ways of connecting and used none of them. They have so many ways to reach the other person and used none of them out of sheer fear that they will lose this person. And so they perpetuate this ghosting process for their own sense of comfort because they are traumatized. It is supposed to be as ridiculous as it appears. It is by design. Like it is literally by design to reflect where they are as characters. They're literally a wall away and they can't fucking interact because they're that goddamn scared. They're that goddamn traumatized after what happens in Hawaiians. It's literally by design. It's as stupid, as insane as it sounds because they're literally locked up in their own mental scape. Their rooms reflect their own mental scapes. Chizuru literally locks herself up in her room and can't step out, just as Kazuya literally locks himself up in his room and can't step out. He literally starts isolating. He starts cutting people around him off. He doesn't interact with Ruka. He opens the door to Minnie, says hi to her, and goes back to his messy room, doesn't even bother closing the door. Literally, they're isolating in their own homes. They're cutting each other off intentionally. They're isolating out of fear that they will lose a connection. But in so doing, they're losing that connection. They literally needed Minnie. At the time, she was the great unifier. They fucking needed her to snap them the fuck out of it. So the moral of the story, as for now, Kazuya just needed to be himself and show all of his genuine self, and same applied to Chizuru as well. But that was only ever going to happen if they were going to break the research and the illusion that is the investigation. That needed to fucking go. The only way they were ever going to show themselves is if they took off the training wheels. They took off the crutches. They took off the coping mechanisms. The rejection needed to happen. It was necessary. The rejection needed to happen. They needed to end the illusion. And Chizuru made a hard fucking choice. She instead of making a selfish choice, a selfish desire, to keep living her paradise with Kazuya, she made a hard choice to try actually freeing Kazuya. Even if it meant she doesn't get what she wants, and she was ready to lose it all. Chizuru was ready to lose it all. And Kazuya still chose to love her after that. And she was struggling to accept that initially. She was struggling to accept that, but she didn't want to be hated either. She had in the walk home, she's a bundle of contradictions. She didn't want to be hated, but she was ready to free him from this. And then when Kazuya was free, he accepted her for her, and even though she kept saying no, he kept saying yes, and he didn't care. The no was in some ways for Chizuru to hear Kazuya say yes. In a lot of ways, she devolves to a kid. She has nothing else to say. She has no arguments to make. All she can say is no because that's how she's freeing him. That's how she's breaking the illusion. Every time she says no, he says yes. That means the illusion is breaking. Like that's the idea. That's why the rejection was a wake-up call. Yes, for both of them in a sense. Chizuru needed to remove the crutch she put on herself, which was the research.
not realizing like it was the solution all along. The rejection was always the solution, and she kept trying to avoid a rejection. Because if she just dropped the idea, the problem is she put the investigation in place in the first place. That's the problem. But she needed it. She actually needed the investigation. It helped her find herself. The investigation was necessary. It wasn't pointless. It was completely necessary. She needed it, but because she put the investigation, a rejection needed to happen. Because to accept Kazuya under the guise of a investigation where he's faking himself to get points is not to accept Kazuya at all. You're accepting a fake version of him. So if she accepted Kazuya, who was kind of not being super honest to himself and lying to himself and being the nice guy instead of being himself, she would be accepting a lie. She wouldn't be accepting him. She would live in paradise and she would be happy, but she would be accepting a lie. She wouldn't be accepting the real him. And that needed to end. And it's made more sad when you realize this is supposed to mirror the cheer up date where Chizuru was closed off the entire time and Kazuya couldn't reach her, except that was under the guise of pretending. This is supposed to be the real thing. And because this is the real thing, because this is supposed to be the real thing, Chizuru's being her most real self, and she still thinks she can't reach him. She thinks she could never reach him. She could never be with him. She could never make him happy. That's why her only thing in the end is rejection, whereas Kazuya's only result in the very end of the cheer-up date is acceptance. The dates mirror each other. They're supposed to be reflections of each other. And they end the opposite ways by design. Whereas Chizuru absolutely needed to drop the walls and be accepted, Kazuya would have never dropped the walls if he was accepted, because that would validate the fact that all of his lies were worth it. That the entire pretending and thing finally got him what he wanted, when he should have been accepted for who he was, not the lies he was saying. He needed to be rejected so he can go back to being his real self, the self that would be accepted. That's why the rejection was absolutely necessary. It needed to fucking happen. They needed to do that in order to break these illusions and walls they created, so they can be their truest selves and make that choice anyway. If you still choose to be with this person after the illusions, after everything is gone, then that is real. That connection is real. That's the whole point, is that Kazuya still chose to be with her after the illusion of paradise broke, because that was still the real him. It was still his choice. I can see Mami eventually accepting her darker side. Reiji's been setting that up. Reiji's definitely been setting that up for Mami to accept her darker side and to realize she is way more capable than she's giving herself credit for. That she is much stronger than she thinks she is. Mami is much, much stronger than she thinks she is. But she keeps lying to herself and caging herself up. Reiji intentionally mirrors Mami with Kazuya in this arc. It's particularly happens, I believe, in chapter 310. This is after Mami sees Chizuru and Grandma Nagomi. And she thinks Nagomi-san and Chizuru Mizuhara were alone together and carrying shopping bags around the arcade. She's supposedly still lying about being lovers, so what's the deal with him not being there? I figured it might be a rental thing, but either way, it means she's still involved with them. If anything, it means she's gotten closer. Still, I'm not going to expose her or anything. I never planned to anyway. I don't have anything to gain from doing that. It has nothing to do with me anymore. She's trying to disconnect. She's trying to excuse her disconnection. Right now, I'm Kazuya-san's fully fledged girlfriend. Maybe they're dating for real already. Kazuya tries to get answers from Nagomi. Nagomi refuses to give him answers. Kazuya screams, "Ah!" It's the same exact scream. They feel powerless to make change in their own feelings and worlds. Kazuya can go and ask Chizuru and be like, hey, tell me what it actually means. But he doesn't. Instead, he sees Mami, instead he sees Minnie get what she wants out of Chizuru. Isn't that interesting? Mami is at home and feels powerless to do or make any changes. Kazuya comes home unable to get any answers, sees Minnie dressed like this, and then Minnie somehow convinces Chizuru to do this thing that Chizuru literally said no to. I don't know if you can see Chizuru right here. Minnie asks her to do this thing. She wants her to go do cosplay with her. Chizuru says, sorry, but I have an appointment to get my nails done at 1 o'clock and a salon appointment at 6. I plan to make today all about self-care. Minnie doubles down. She keeps asking. She doesn't care. Please, you've gotta. What? Huh? How could she still keep asking even though she was rejected? It's not happening no matter what. There's no reason for Mizuhara to do it. Mizuhara, your beauty's unmatched. Kazuya eventually tries to stop Minnie. Oh, what are you trying to do, Yamori-san? She's got plans. That's just how it is. Sorry, Mizuhara, you can forget about it. She's being so forceful and persistent. Mizuhara's got to start doubting me, too, just for being here. She agrees. It's almost like you can get what you want. Just actually try. Like, it's not just because someone said no, right? Just because Nagomi said no here, it doesn't mean you can't get what you want. Stop letting other people decide for you what to do. And this is further added on with Mami walking into her home that is a literal prison by her parents. She's letting other people decide things for her, just as Kazuya does. But Mami takes agency over her own life. If she wants Chizuru to go, she has something she can use and she can make Chizuru go. Right? You can get the answers you want. You can get the results you want. You're not necessarily hurting anybody, right? Minnie didn't necessarily hurt Chizuru here, right? She used a dirty scheme. Let's get that out of the way. Minnie, like look at this fucking shitter. Look at this fucking shitter. She used a dirty ass scheme, but she got what she wanted, right? Sometimes being a little persistent and like pushing a little bit works. Just being persistent and be like, tell me, why are you hiding? Why aren't you working with me? Can you just fucking explain? Sometimes pushing a little bit works. You shouldn't always push, right? Sometimes pushing is wrong. And Kazuya learned this behavior that he shouldn't push for a very simple reason. Whenever he was pushing too much in Hawaiians, what happened? Chizuru ran away. So Kazuya got scared to push. You need to push sometimes. That's just life. You kind of got to push to get what you want. You're not going to just get it handed to you. You got to fucking fight for it, right? Minnie cunningly fought for what she wanted. She got what she wanted. She planned for Chizuru to go all along, and she got what she wanted because she had a favor from her. She used that to her advantage. Just because you use things to your advantage, it doesn't make you a bad person, right? And Kazuya does this exact thing in chapter 316. Chizuru even admits it. Kazuya was a little pushy in chapter 316, but he's right. Chizuru needed a push. Chizuru needed a push, right? She's lost and she doesn't know how to move forward. Kazuya can guide her forward. She needed a push. He was a little pushy, but he has a point. I'm the one who said I'd do some research before we started living together. Soon it'll be a month of living under the same roof. Things can't stay as they are now. I've also been thinking that I need to do something. If the answer isn't clear to me, then I have to find something that can make it clear. But what are we going to do? Will we just go out, do some stuff, have dinner together? Will I really find my answer through that? She remembers Kazuya saying this. She remembers Kazuya setting the tone very clearly. Like he knows, like he will find the answer. And you turn the page and she's goddamn smiling. She sees his light and she feels confident in that. She believes in that light. He is the light in her darkness. He will show her the way. Just as, what does he do at the end of the day? In the night, he guides her home. He literally walks her home. He shows her the way. Right? This is Chizuru letting go of control and just trusting him. Trusting that he can take control. Right? So literally, If you want control over your life, you have to take it. It's not going to be fucking handed to you. Now, don't abuse it. The story isn't saying abuse it, right? Like, yeah, Minnie used peer pressure and it was super effective, but it wasn't necessarily bad, right? There's nuance. There's nuance to what Minnie did. It wasn't necessarily bad. She used something to her advantage, but Chizuru kind of agreed too. It's not like Chizuru was against it. Right? When Chizuru turned Minnie down initially, her eyes are closed. She's somewhat lying about something here. Huh? A sales girl? The events are cosplays, right? So Chizuru wasn't against it initially. She was kind of down for it, right? She was curious. She asked some questions, and she could have moved her appointments. The appointments weren't set in stone, right? The appointments weren't set in stone, and she did ultimately move them. So what is Chizuru hiding here? She knows Minnie's planning something. That's what she's hiding. She knows Minnie's planning something. It's not like she doesn't want to go. In fact, Chizuru had a lot of fun. When Chizuru went, she actually had a lot of fun. But she knows Minnie's planning something, and that's why she's initially against it. That's why Chizuru is initially against Minnie's plan here. That's what she's hiding. She knew Minnie was pulling some shit. She's like, okay, Minnie's clearly planning some fucking bullshit. So I'm not going to play along. I'm going to shut her down. But Minnie's like, no, I'm going to get my way. I have leverage. I'm going to get my way. You're going to go. And it's not like it's a big secret either. It's not like Minnie is like straight up blackmailing Chizuru. It's not a big fucking secret. It's just that he saw your bra. So what? So fucking what? Why does that matter to you so much? Right? It's literally that. Where did you get the colored Chizuru manga panel in your thumbnail? So this was someone colored that in around chapter 256. So it's been years. I made that thumbnail years ago. It is old as shit. I've just always wanted to use it. I don't know if this person even still does art. I don't even know if this person still does art or if they color or anything. And I remember really liking that art piece, but I don't remember where I got it. It's been so long. And I haven't seen them post any art pieces in a long, long time. So yeah, the idea is that to take autonomy and control over your life. And Minnie literally shows that to Kazuya here. When Minnie isn't playing Cupid, when Minnie isn't trying to play Cupid, even though she kind of is, she actually guides Kazuya and doesn't realize she's doing this. Because Minnie here isn't playing Cupid, she's doing something for herself. And in so doing, Kazuya seeing that feels more empowered to do what he wants. Right? If I find it, I'll share it. Yeah, Kazuya feels more empowered to do what he wants because he sees how Minnie does it. Minnie is useful. Minnie can, in fact, be useful, especially when she's doing shit because she wants to. She needs Chizuru to go to this event. She needed her to be there. It wasn't just to ship Kazuya and Chizuru. That's a bonus, right? This is for Minnie. And that made this moment special because Minnie shows Kazuya the way, right? Kazuya, he sees Minnie gets results and he is surprised. Holy shit, Minnie can do things. Minnie somehow got the unmovable Chizuru to do something. And it literally shows Kazuya, you can do something too. And right after this, Kazuya asks Chizuru out. Minnie is both a support and the antagonist. She is both. She does both, right? She is necessary. She does help. But in some ways, she's also kind of a crutch right now, so she kind of needs to be a little bit out of it, you know? I think Minnie will ultimately come back into their relationship, but at the moment, I could see a conflict with Chizuru and Minnie brewing for this exact reason that Minnie is kind of a crutch and she's a little too involved. I'm not going to talk about whether Kazuya will come back or whatever. Whatever, man. You believe whatever the hell you want. Minnie is doing good and bad things at the same time throughout the manga. Correct. That's Minnie in a nutshell. She kind of embodies chaos. Yeah, Minnie needs to let go of the steering wheel and just be a passenger. And she's gotten too comfortable being on the steering wheel. And basically, I think she needs to take her own steering wheel. She's kind of trying to use. Here's a better analogy. Minnie needs to let go of their steering wheel. She needs to go back to hers. She needs to drive her own car. She's so stuck driving their car, she's not driving her car. She's not going to her destination. She's not doing what she wants. She's so busy living their lives for them. Right? That's Minnie's big issue. Okay. I think I read all this. Oh yeah, cool details I found. Let me share those real quick. In chapter 205, Chizuru eats mackerel, a fish that represents the beginning of spring. In 387, Chizuru makes Pacific Sauri, a fish representing autumn. But what's interesting is you can get Sauri during the summer as well. They are just more expensive and smaller. This means that Chizuru spent a little extra to get this fish during this time. Pacific Sauri also means autumn swordfish because it's most abundant during that time. But it's not autumn. This contradiction matches Chizuru. She got something rare for this occasion. The Tokyo neighborhood of Meguro, where Kazuya and Chizuru live, is considered a place deeply connected to the fish because it hosts a famous event called the Senma Festival, which is another way of saying Pacific Sauri. Minnie even mentions this when talking about the bus line. This matches the theme of the sea and Finding Nemo keychain Chizuru gave Kazuya. I literally said that the ocean defines these two's relationship. It is their connection, and it is only becoming more and more true the more we know. And was there something else I found? Oh yeah, I was saying it'd be funny as hell if Kazuya did this. It'd be funny as shit if Kazuya did this. Where Kazuya next chapter, hey, can I come over? Minnie and Chizuru, what the fuck? Or I think Minnie would freak out, but Chizuru would be like, oh shit, here we go. Minnie's biggest strength is her ability to create a situation for Kazuya and Chizuru to interact. Her biggest weakness is her intrusive behavior. I would argue when Minnie tries to create a situation for Kazuya and Chizuru, that's when it doesn't work. When Minnie creates a situation that happens to have her friends in it, it works. Because she's not intentionally creating a scenario between them. So the birthday, Minnie is not intentionally trying to create a scenario between Kazuya and Chizuru. If anything, it's something they all want to do for Chizuru. And because of that, Chizuru and Kazuya connect more. In that same way, when Minnie does the trip, she's not intentionally creating something between them. And this is actually contrasted in a special way. Chizuru agrees to this and goes to this, and Kazuya and Chizuru share a special moment in this trip. Kazuya and Chizuru share a special moment in this trip. Kazuya sees Chizuru in a bunny outfit, he freaks out, and they have this special moment where she says, it's my first time. Again, clearly very intentional, nod to sex. Again, it's literally nodding to what intimacy actually is. That's the whole point. It's meant to sound sexual. She's literally a goddamn bunny girl. It's meant to sound sexual because it's intimate. This is intimacy. It's just verbal. Then, when Chizuru poses for the camera, she's literally doing it for Kazuya. She's not doing it for anyone else. She wants him to see her. And goddamn does he. Then, when Kazuya helps this girl out, who's a real cosplayer, by the way, Chizuru asks, was she cute? Wanting to be called cute by Kazuya. Instead, he doesn't know how to answer, and he says, yeah, and she's like, she gets jealous, right? Very, very, very clear. Then, this is where something interesting happens. Minnie oversees this, she overhears it, and she hears how Chizuru wants to be called cute. And Minnie orchestrates a scenario. Minnie tries to get more. Right? Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate here. Hey, let's celebrate here. Let's do something. Chizuru says no. Shuts it down. Eyes closed. Very, very strict this time. But it's not like Chizuru is against it. Like I said, my nail appointment is later time. I don't have time for that. Her eyes are closed. Chizuru isn't necessarily telling the full truth here. Minnie could create a scenario again if she wanted to. In fact, maybe Kazuya could even create a scenario, right? It's literally the same. It's the same exact thing happening all over again, except Minnie is intentionally trying to orchestrate a scenario between Kazuya and Chizuru. It's a direct nod back to the beginning of this arc. And what happens? It doesn't work. Chizuru says, don't do that. She gets pissed, and Kazuya gets pissed at Minnie. It doesn't fucking work when you try to force it. When you're trying to create a scenario intentionally just for them, it doesn't work. But if you're creating a scenario for you, and it's what you actually want, not to orchestrate something between other people to force them to do something, and they do it because they want to help you, it works. And they actually get closer. You have a contrasting thing where in the beginning Chizuru agrees, and now Chizuru doesn't agree. Twice even. Minnie tries to do it twice intentionally, right? Her eyes are closed here. What is the big thing that we see when Minnie gets Chizuru to do stuff? She's looking directly at her. She sees her goddamn soul. She knows what Chizuru is feeling there, and she uses it to her advantage, right? It's literally a very sister-like moment. Here, Minnie's eyes are consistently closed. She doesn't look at Chizuru, she sees what she wants to see. It is complete convenience. And she keeps putting Kazuya on the spot. Intentionally so. And Chizuru sees this. She knows what Chizuru is doing. She knows what Minnie is doing. She can see this bullshit a mile away. And it doesn't fucking work. Shit, look at Chizuru here. Enough. I don't need any of that. At this point, it just sounds like you're trying to butter me up. Besides, everyone was here to see Minnie-chan. I didn't come here for for that kind of thing. Kazuya says you were cute, the cutest. These don't sound like Kazuya's words, because when Kazuya calls her cute, he's very descriptive. He's very descriptive. And Chizuru does not buy this shit. However, she notices, Kazuya actually meant that. Even though it was orchestrated by Minnie, even though it was an illusion, it was fake, his intentions were genuine. If you're serious, that makes me happy. Right? Despite the illusion, his intentions were genuine. You need to look past that. I still have no idea why Mizuhara tagged along today, but thinking back to when we first met, I never would have imagined the three of us living together and walking home with each other after going to an event like this. I guess at the end of the day, I still have Yamori-san to thank for that too. He learned from her. Chizuru wanted to go. She was never against it. She just thought Minnie was creating some sort of bullshit. In reality, it was for Minnie, and Minnie got what she wanted when she wasn't trying to fucking ship them. When Minnie doesn't try to ship them, she gets what she wants. But when Minnie tries to, it doesn't work. That's the whole idea. And literally, still it's already May, just over 2 weeks before I move out on the 18th. Not only will these fun days for the three of us come to an end, but so will my chance to make a good impression on Mizuhara while living together. Is just letting her watch me on a daily basis really good enough? I can make a move from my side too. Kazuya learns he can make a move. He can make some changes. And then he gets scared. He chickens out a little bit. He gets a little scared there. You scared me, master. Why'd you shout all of a sudden? Runs away. Minnie wants to know. Minnie is like, hey, this is Minnie being Chizuru. This is the brilliance here. This is Minnie being Chizuru. What? No way, master. Why do you act all attention hungry? You were totally going to say something. Hey, master. Literally, she's saying exactly what Chizuru is feeling. What does he want to say? Wait, master. What was that all about? Are you okay? Is this part of your plan or something? Hey, master. Literally every single word Minnie says, Chizuru's words. Brilliant. I love it. I meant that as long as she isn't being intrusive, is doing her own thing, creating advantageous situations is her strength. Yeah. Minnie's greatest strength is like creating advantageous situations when she's not trying to get in between them. If the anime adapts the chapter where the cosplayer is introduced and she's not actually voiced by TZK, it will be a huge L for the production. Yeah, maybe, who knows? Maybe it'll. Yeah, it's hard to predict, you know. Minnie is always a pro Kazuya, even if she has girls only time with Chizuru. Yeah, no shit. Minnie calls Kazuya master. TZK isn't a voice actress, unfortunately. She can say these few lines. That's not a big deal. She just has like 2 lines. It's nothing. But she can join just a few lines for a short scene, just like how the voiced NPC characters. Yeah, it's not a. She can do it. It's not that hard. Like it's not like she's acting an entire character. She's just voicing a few lines. Just because she's not a voice, and she is popular. She's been gaining a lot of traction. Like she's becoming very popular as an idol. Like I don't think she's an idol. I think she kind of is an idol, but she kind of isn't. I don't know. I just know she's a model, but she kind of does idol-like things. There was something else I wanted to talk about. Give me a sec. Let's see. Oh yeah. I was I wrote this. So I was telling you guys earlier how like them living together is literally like a marriage / paradise. Remember how Kazuya literally references it as paradise? My paradise with Chizuru was going to end, right? The illusion was going to break. Being rumored linked to Reiji is a huge hint that she's famous. Lol. No. Let's not. Fuck those rumors, dude. Reiji and her do interact regularly. They do interact regularly. Reiji actively, regularly talks to his fans, but there's nothing weird going on. People on Reddit love to do this. She has gone to Comiket dressed as Chizuru. I believe Reiji paid her. Like she was literally a vendor there. She was also a vendor for the Shiunji family. One of the ways Reiji knew about what is it? One of the ways Reiji knew about the exact event that Kazuya and Minnie go to, I believe is Kasaholic or something, is because that was the same exact event she went to, and she was literally dressed as that exact character in that event. It's a direct reference to her. I know. I'm not saying you believe that rumor. I'm just saying I would like to clear it up because I despise those rumors. It's the same issue I have with people spreading the rumor that Reiji is sponsored by Hawaiians when he wasn't. Like it's very clear he wasn't, and he got no money from it. Just as with the Ruka project, they didn't actually make any money. And they openly said this in the event itself. I'm gonna read this real quick, and then we can go read that project thing really quick. The cohabitation was Kazuya and Chizuru's marriage paradise, but it was also an illusion and a lie. In a sense, the lie let them live out their ideal life so that they may choose to make it real after, renew their vows, in a sense, but for real this time. Throughout the cohabitation, Kazuya was able to see how much he truly loved the entirety of Chizuru, how much she meant to him, and how she made his whole world spin. Chizuru, in contrast, was trying to find her love for Kazuya, not realizing it was there the whole time. In ending the investigation and taking down the lie, now they can choose to love without any barriers, to truly be with the other person. Despite the cohabitation being in part a lie, it was still them. They never left. They still made that choice, even if it may have been fake. Chizuru chose to love Kazuya despite the rejection and the end of their time together. She tossed every other worry aside and chose to just be in love. Kazuya too did this in choosing to keep his promise, to love her and keep loving her no matter what. It's literally like marriage. Their problems aren't gone. They can just solve them together now instead of alone. It's time for them to live together, not apart. No veils, no walls, no illusions, no lies. Just two people supporting each other and ready to face it all together. They don't lie to each other. Chizuru lies to Minnie, but she doesn't lie to Kazuya. It's not Minnie's relationship. It's not a community project. It's Chizuru's relationship with Kazuya, and it's none of Minnie's business. It's their shared secret for no one else to know. That's what Chizuru wants. Only their bond. A bond shared with only one other person in the entire world. Yep. So now I'm going to read you guys this thing. So Mute summarized some of the stuff that was said in the stream. There was some other stuff I'll read to you in just a sec, but I'll read you guys these first. Let's see. I've summarized the topics I personally found interesting from the Ruka's crowdfunding finale live stream. This is for listeners outside of Japan, speaking community. I've included the timestamps from the stream and summarized the content. The crowdfunding reward, an original manga, depicts a day-long date between Ruka and Kazuya. Well, while it's not shown in the main story, they actually go on dates in their daily lives. The reason it's not in the main story is that the magazine editorial team is concerned about the survey results and won't let it be drawn. I asked for some elaboration on this. I wasn't sure what he meant. I said, could you elaborate on this one and write it or write it in Japanese? I thought the reason was the focus on the story between Kazuya and Chizuru, not the dates with Ruka. So let's see. Miyajime, Teacher Miyajime Sensei Miyajime Sensei wanted to depict Kazuya and Ruka on the date in the main story. This is because in reality, Kazuya and Ruka are always going on dates and staying in touch. So he wanted to dedicate an entire episode to a date with Ruka. It's often thought that something ominous happens whenever Ruka appears, but that's not the case. However, the editorial department of Weekly Magazine did not allow it to be drawn. This is because they were care about the results of the reader surveys. This is probably saying that having a date with Ruka instead of Chizuru would not be well received by readers. So this time, as a reward, I drew a one-day date with Ruka without worrying about the editorial department. I replied saying, interesting, so Reiji said the editorial didn't allow it. In the past, it always seemed to be a mutually agreed upon thing, whether it was Sumi, Mami, or Ruka. I'm surprised the editorial team was the reason this time. To be precise, it's not so much the editorial department, but rather the editor in charge who didn't give approval during the name discussion. This is just a guess, but it might be influenced by the fact that the questionnaire results weren't good when Chizuru didn't appear, or that the number of negative comments on Manga Poke increased when Mami appeared. So that's kind of his assumption based on that reasoning. I do recall at one point, I think it was like a year ago or something, Reiji complained on Twitter about how he's only ever disagreed with his editor like 3 times or like 7 times or something like that on like something, and he didn't get his way, and he ended up doing it differently. And I think that's one of the reasons that the Ruka date that Kazuya and Ruka had just before the big date between Kazuya and Chizuru happened the way that it did. That it was only two chapters. And so for those people who are just like, oh, Reiji always favors Chizuru and he's obsessed with Chizuru, he actually literally wanted to do a Ruka thing, and his editors didn't let him at the time. So he made this entire crowdfunding to do this thing for Ruka. It's a kind of celebration for Ruka in a sense. So that's actually quite interesting. And it shows that like Reiji really loves his characters. There was something similar going on around when was it? There was something similar going on at the very early parts of the Cohabitation, around chapter 260 or so, where Reiji wanted to bring back Mami and Sumi in particular, and him and his editor were talking about it. I vividly remember talking to Reiji about this. Him and his editor were talking about it, and his editor was just like, "Hey, let's now is not a good time. We shouldn't rush it a little bit." And then he took his time a little bit until about when was it? Until about Chizuru's birthday. That's when he brought Sumi back. So Reiji wants to bring characters back, but him and his editor like talk it through, and they know like certain points it's not a good time to show it. Reiji wanted to show Ruka more just because like she was there the entire time. She never really went away, but he couldn't. So he's doing this manga just for her. And I think that's interesting. I think in a way, Ruka not showing up actually works, in my opinion, whether it was intentional or not. I think it actually works, specifically to show how Ruka has been kind of like, despite being present this entire time, she's literally kind of removed from Kazuya's life in that sense, because she's not his goal. In a way, it perfectly matches Ruka as a character being kind of the road you don't usually take. But even though it might not end up being the end goal, it's still an experience worth having. That's pretty much Ruka in a sense. That like she's not the end goal, but she was a fun person to interact with, and she might end up being a friend, you know. Let's see here. I said this before. I hope that the crowdfunding still will not reflect the canon manga giving. This is literally saying that's not the case. Straight up, this is literally saying it's not the case. The editors literally don't want to fucking include her. So Reiji did this entire thing. The editors literally did not want to fucking include her. Like, It's not a full-blown Ruka spinoff. No, it's literally just a single tiny manga. It's a small ass manga just for Ruka because of the Ruka spinoff. It's just a day. Manga writers sometimes have adversarial relationship with their editors. Toriyama famously based his villain's personality on his editors, Frieza being his first. I don't think it's quite like that with Reiji. I think at times he said it before. He doesn't usually disagree with his editors. Him and his editor usually come to an agreement. Usually they come to an agreement, but sometimes they just have a fundamental disagreement on how to approach things. And that just happens sometimes, you know, it's just inevitable. But Reiji has openly said too, especially in his subscriber feed, that like his editor helps him out a lot. Like sometimes his editor actually comes up with better ideas than he does, and he actually really appreciates his editor because he shouldn't do it alone. You sometimes need someone to be against you, because that adversity helps you make a better decision. So he's actually very appreciative of his editor. He actually thinks the editor has helped him out a lot. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just he wanted to do this, and he literally said in the same thing, in the actual event itself, he said that it doesn't impact the main story in any way. Reiji openly said that the short manga does not impact the main story in any way, shape, or form. It is not necessary to the story. It's just a cute thing that he wanted to draw. That's it. He literally said this, so don't worry about it impacting the main story in any way, shape, or form. It's not going to. So there's that. The reason, okay, so he said, the reason Ruka was chosen for the first crowdfunding campaign is because she's considered to have a consistently high popularity among the characters. Ruka is also an unfortunate character, so there's that desire to see her rewarded. If that's not an indicator, I don't know what is. If that's not an indicator, I don't know what is. Like, it's not going to work out with Ruka, you know? The model for the lungfish is Protopotus amphibius, but a lot of people mistakenly think it's oxalotl laughs. The solo exhibition is being held without regard for profitability. The solo exhibition is being held without regard for profitability. Exhibitions are expensive. The final estimate from the vendors was 10 times the initial budget. 5 million yen isn't enough, since the crowdfunding scales up with increased support. There's no profit due to the cost for personnel, materials, and rewards. Translation, they're literally not making any money off of this. That's it. There was something else I talked about Mute in another time where I gotta pull it up. I was like replying to him. Let me find it. I think it was like last week. Oh yeah, there's this thing. I gotta open this. Whatever. I'll look at it later. Just talking to Mute. Where is it? Oh, it wasn't last week. It was like a few days ago. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. It would have been a few days ago. There it is. He says, I was impressed by the part where Miyajime-sensei said that Yamori was a character he created to represent the feeling of the readers. So Reiji has openly said this in the YouTube stream. This is from a Japanese fan literally telling me this. Okay? And there's one more thing that he actually sent me right here. So I'm gonna translate that. It was mostly just a chat and crowdfunding promotion, so there weren't many interesting stories, but there was a talk about Miyajime-sensei's parents. At 1.36, Miyajime-sensei's father is a big fan of this YouTube channel, so he knows the YouTube channel that Reiji was doing. So he knows a lot about Miyajime-sensei's current affairs. When he went back to his parents' house, they asked him, is the 60,000 yen t-shirt you're wearing, is that a 60,000 yen t-shirt you're wearing? To which he replied, I only have one 60,000 yen t-shirt, so I didn't wear it when I go back to my parents' house, right? I don't wear it when I go back to my parents' house because they always point it out. At the Nakano Kanokari Festival, which was the event they held at Reiji's hometown, his mother wrote a message to him in a notebook for visitors, and he wished she would have emailed him online. She would have emailed him or lined him instead. So yeah, that was very cute. I really like that. That was super cute. So I just wanted to share that like Reiji has a very cute relationship with his parents, and they're super supportive of him. Like his mom literally went to the event they held for him at his hometown and literally wrote him a cute note on one of the things there. And he's like, "Mom, you should have just messaged me or emailed me. What the fuck?" It's so cute. This shit like fucking melted me, dude. It was so adorable seeing like Reiji have this interaction with his family. Mini is us, yes. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up some stuff. So first off, merch. Oh god, merch. And good God, this merch be swinging. Chizuru's my favorite. Mini's probably my second. I do like Mami and I do like Ruka. Sumi's kind of okay, but good God, good Goddy good. It is adorable. I think they're like skating maids. I forgot what the specific name for this is, but yeah, cute as shit. Jesus Christ, they be swinging. Nothing too crazy with this one. We talked about the Chizuru billboard, where they put up a billboard for Ruka on Shibuya Scramble Crossing, and Chizuru's was the first. In season 3, they put up Chizuru, and then in season 4, they put up Ruka, because Ruka is literally second. Not maids, but waitresses. Waitresses, they kind of dress like maids, though, right? Sumi has a maid thing. Chizuru kind of has a maid vibe, too. So they are waitresses, but has a maid-like vibe. And then this artist drew Chizuru, went crazy with the bahunkas, as per usual. Reiji was saying here how it is correct that Ruka Sarishna is the cutest heroine if a Ruka advertisement is displayed in the middle of Japan, right? So he's just joking. It's like, if Ruka's displayed in the middle of Japan, that must mean she's the cutest heroine, right? And then, where was it? So this thing. So this is another thing they added. Reiji said it finally happened. This is in collaboration with Hawaiians. This is actually Hawaiians, and they made a collaboration with Rent a Girlfriend, like actually officially. We're holding a collaboration with the popular TV anime Rent a Girlfriend, currently airing in the 4th season. A lot of people were saying for a long time, "Oh, Reiji is sponsored by this, blah blah blah." He's not, and he's literally admitting it right here. It finally happened. We finally had a collaboration between them. So yeah, I just wanted to share them. So this person is a designer for the anime, and he was saying how they came up for the designs for this. So I'm just going to read what he wrote. The design of the pattern on the mumas were worn by the 5 people was handled by our firm, Albatross Design Works. The design was done by Noriko Shimazu, and the direction was by me. We created the designs with Sumi-chan being cute, Mami-chan being chic, Chizuru-san being glamorous, Ruka-chan being lively, and Mami-chan being mysterious, each matching their respective images. I asked why was Mini-chan mysterious, and of course they didn't elaborate. He's like, "Oh, I wonder why. I don't know. I don't get it." I'm just like, okay, I kind of get it, because you don't know much about Mini. Like throughout the story, you don't really know all that much about Mini, so I kind of get why Mini's mysterious, but yeah. This is a gem packed with some passion as the main anime, brimming with the soul of Kanokari. So I'd be thrilled if you'd consider picking up the merchandise when it comes out and enjoy it as a companion while watching the Hawaiian arc. So yeah, as you can see, of course, Chizuru is red. It just makes too much sense. Mom, I love how they're doing the Hawaii thing, but like Mommy does it like it's a phone call. Like, ooh, call me. Sumi is just chill. Ruka is just vibing, right? She's just lively, and then Minnie is interesting. The color for Minnie is like interesting for me because she does in fact look kind of mysterious. But I do love the connecting thing they're doing. But I do love Chizuru. Chizuru's just vibing. She's super cute. I like Mommy's pose the most, to be honest. I just oh damn, Mommy out here vibing. Like Mommy actually kind of looks like she's at Hawaii. The other girls are like still kind of adjusting to it. But Mommy kind of looks really cool here. Okay, and I don't think there's much else left to cover. I talked about this, how they skipped this scene, and how
Like, this scene is very crucial to piecing it together. I can read what this person wrote. The scene where Mami finds Chizuru online in the anime Satisfaction 41 wasn't included. This is an important scene where the 2 points of Chizuru and Mizuhara are connected by the line of Kazuya. Just explaining that she happened to find Chizuru or on a crowdfunding page makes it hard for viewers to imagine why it connected to Chizuru herself. Also, it wasn't by chance that Chizuru's true identity was discovered, but rather due to Mami's intuition or persistent actions, making it an important scene that reaffirms and impresses Mami's character on the audience. This also ties to the significant implications for Mami's future actions. Right? It's important to. This scene was important, and of course they cut it. They also cut an important scene with Kibe that contextualizes Kibe and Kazuya's relationship and how Kazuya feels cornered by Kibe. So yeah. That's another thing that I was personally frustrated by. Alrighty, I think that's roughly it. What did I... Oh, yeah, this person was saying, oh, does Ruka know where Kazuya lives? And I'm like, here's literal proof that she doesn't know where he fucking lives. Ruka should not know where Kazuya lives. Because literally the day before the date, she says, let's meet at Aoyama Station, the closest to your parents' place. To her, he should still be at his parents' place. Not at his new place. She doesn't know where he lives. So Ruka still doesn't know where Kazuya lives. She should not know where he lives. And I just wanted to clear that up really quick. Okay. I don't know if there's anything else left for us to discuss. I feel like I talked about mostly everything. We talked about the sea. We talked about what next chapter could entail. I think Kazuya I think we might end up with Kazuya saying, "Can I come back? Or can I come? Or can I hang out with you guys?" Which would be super fucking interesting. Kazuya literally saying, "Yo, because it seems like the next chapter is gonna focus on Kazuya. It seems like when you do this, it seems like the next chapter is gonna focus on Kazuya. He does look sleepy." He does look sleepy, mind you. Maybe Kazuya is sleepy. Any one of our guesses could come true. But it seems like next chapter might end up focusing on Kazuya. And what Kazuya wants to do. Right? So there's very clear setup here. That we're going to focus on Kazuya next chapter. And it would be really interesting if Kazuya texts Minnie, hey, can I come? And Minnie's like, what? But you just left. Chizuru says something along the lines of, you can always come back, just makes sense. Yeah. Or that. Or Chizuru could say that. Has Kazuya ever been in a chapter? Has Kazuya ever not been in a chapter at all? He's the fucking protagonist, but yes. He's the fucking protagonist, but yes. Chapter 215 is an easy example. Chapter 100 and chapter 101 are another easy example. Chapter 100 and 101 are completely focused on Chizuru. Chapter 215 is Mami's backstory. What else? What other ones were there? Ruka's backstory in chapter 30 something. That's another one. Kazuya is literally not there. Kazuya is not treated like shit. I don't know where I'm so fucking sick of that crap. Kazuya is not treated like shit. Chapter 303. Kazuya is kind of there. He's there in flashbacks and shit. Kazuya is not treated like shit. I refuse to... No. I'm sorry. If you genuinely think Kazuya is being treated like shit, then no. No. Mami treats him like shit. Kazuya is not treated like shit. I refuse to agree with that in any way, shape, or form. The story does not treat Kazuya like shit. If anything, it shows how fucking strong he is. Actively and consistently. That no matter what fucking happens, he constantly powers fucking through it. It literally actively shows you how strong Kazuya actually is. The story does not treat him like shit. And if anything, you constantly see how much Chizuru values him for how fucking strong he is. I'm sticking to my theory. Chizuru's going to set some boundaries for Minnie, and she ain't going to like it. Maybe Kazuya texts breaking up the fight. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, could be. I mean, I'm not totally against that. It's just hard to predict at this point, I have no idea where it's going to fucking go, right? I have been editing. I'm thinking of trimming some shit out. I'm thinking of just cutting out all my predictions
so that way the video is shorter. So I've trimmed down our okay. So how long was our stream? Here, one sec. I gotta go back to you guys. I'm gonna go to my YouTube. Oh yeah, Lucy got a trailer. Hey, Lucy got a fucking trailer. Is there what's going on right now? Are they announcing anything? Ah, damn it. I want to know if they're like announcing something, but I want to go to my channel real quick. Okay, so this one, the 6-hour, 30-minute stream, I've almost condensed it down to an hour. And that includes my reaction and my immediate analysis. I've literally condensed this whole thing down to an hour. I'm not sure if there's like anything else I should try to cut, but I'm gonna try to post that. I'm gonna condense this one and this one next, and I might take some stuff from this one too. I've been trying like my best to condense streams more so I can make them more accessible to people to have to like talk about and discuss. I cut out the parts where it's like I've changed my mind on certain assessments, and I keep that together. They also announced Guilty Gear 2.0, 2 new characters, and Sea Viper's teaser. Wait, they finally showed Sea Viper? Fuck! Sea Viper was so fucking cool. Sea Viper's so goddamn cool. I want to see the goddamn trailer for her. Shit. I can see the transition over to Kazuya's perspective for the next chapter. Maybe he contacts Minnie to ask about the kiss because he's confused. And that's how Minnie finds out and confronts Chizuru. I feel like that's an easy one. But no. Minnie already texted Kazuya. It does. I think it really depends on what Minnie asked and what Minnie said in that text. If, say, Minnie says, I talked to Chizuru and she wouldn't give me the details. If, say, Minnie says that, Kazuya may not tell her. Right? Kazuya could ask Minnie more details and he might not tell her. Right? What if Kazuya doesn't elaborate and he wants to know? Or he tasks Minnie something. Hey, can you ask Chizuru if I can come back? I think Kazuya taking some agency back a little bit is kind of important, and I can kind of see that. So I don't fully agree with that. I don't think Kazuya will tell Minnie. For some reason, I could completely be wrong. There's a huge possibility. Like, literally, the possibility of Kazuya telling Minnie is so goddamn high. It is unbelievably freaking high. But, wait, is something playing? Oh my god. It was playing a video in the background. I was wondering what's going on. Good thing I paused it. Okay, sorry about that. No. So there's a very, very, very huge possibility that Kazuya can tell Minnie. But I think Reiji knows this. When did Minnie text him? We saw her do it. Right here. For now, I'll just have to ask him. You can see her. I'm in the way. You can literally see her tapping. She already texted. Come on, you're such a handful. She already texted him. Minnie asked first. It really does depend. What Minnie said. It really depends on what Minnie said. How did Minnie ask? What did Minnie phrase it as? What did Minnie text him? I bet Kazuya might get excited thinking it's Chizuru. How fitting it ends up being Minnie instead of Chizuru. And then he hears about he asked Minnie, are you home? Did you talk to Chizuru? And Minnie tells him what she heard, and Kazuya gets curious and maybe says, can I come back? Literally, it straight up mirrors that chapter. Holy shit, it does actually straight up mirror that chapter. I can't believe it. It mirrors chapter 251 or 52. Yeah, it literally does. Minnie texts Chizuru in the group chat. Here, she doesn't text Chizuru in the group chat. She texts Kazuya personally. Here, she texts Kazuya personally. What's going on here? Yeah, here she texts Kazuya personally instead of texting Chizuru in the group chat. Chizuru responds, having fun, are we? And then they keep talking about it, and then Chizuru says, cool if I come? Which surprises both of them. I could totally see this happening. So either Kazuya sees the text and spills the beans, or Kazuya pauses. Kazuya reflects and thinks about it for a second. I'm really curious if Kazuya will just outright tell Minnie or if he will wait. Because it seems like we're breaking the loop. It really feels like we're breaking the loop. And it feels like Kazuya would not, like it feels, I don't know why. Something about my gut's telling me to not pick the obvious answer of Kazuya telling Minnie. It would be super obvious, and Kazuya may very well do this. But I kind of feel like he won't. Kazuya doesn't live in the upper floor. No, he lives on the bottom floor. You can see it. No, you can see it. Right here. See, you can see the railings right here. He's at the bottom floor. He doesn't live in the upper floor. So I kind of feel like Kazuya isn't gonna tell Minnie. I don't know why. Something is just telling me Kazuya may not tell Minnie. There's just a high chance he won't. I don't know. Chizuru might just fess up though. Small chance. I kind of don't think so. Maybe she will. But I don't know. I kind of think Kazuya will want to come back and Minnie will be his gateway. Like, Kazuya wants to do something right now, and Minnie may very well act as his gateway. Literally the whole... He uses Minnie. He uses Minnie as his gateway. Yeah, maybe he'll ask, did Chizuru say anything? Right? And Minnie will say, like, what she said, and or Minnie will not be clear, and Kazuya will be like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Wait, that doesn't add up. Like, Kazuya should know it doesn't add up. He should fucking know. There's no way Kazuya would not know. Like, bro, she just fucking kissed you. There's no shot in holy hell Kazuya would not be able to figure it out if Minnie tells him what Chizuru said. And he'll be like, can I come over? Or can I come back? He has so many questions. He's so goddamn curious. I think Minnie will be his gateway. And Kazuya may say something that will surprise Minnie, and we'll maybe get Minnie saying that exact line, but just not how we expected it. What if Chizuru tells Minnie, but doesn't say details, just says they kissed, nothing major, and Kazuya then reveals the details that happened between Chizuru and... No, that doesn't seem right. Chizuru's intentionally hiding they kissed. She refuses to... Okay, no. The reason that doesn't work as an argument, because she blatantly lies to Minnie. Right here, when she mentions rental, she blatantly lies to Minnie. After what they just did, they can never go back to rental ever. It's fucking dead. So Chizuru is intentionally keeping a shared secret with him. She intentionally lies to Minnie here. It's on purpose. So if Chizuru says we kissed, it contradicts this. If Chizuru says we kissed, it literally contradicts this. So she would never tell her. There's no reason for Chizuru to tell her. I'm just using Occam's razor here. The simplest answer is often the truth. And the truth is the simplest answer. I think if anything, I mean, what do you mean by that? Like, can you elaborate? What do you mean by that? Like, can you like in what sense? The simplest answer is often the truth, yes, but in what sense? What are you referring to? Because I'm personally like, ironically, Bacon's theory seems like the most plausible to me, that Chizuru and Minnie might end up getting into a fight, and because Chizuru's trying to set boundaries with Minnie, that could very well be the case. I could totally see that happening. I can see Chizuru and Minnie getting into a fight, and then Minnie and Chizuru clearing it up after and being like, we do love you, we care about you, we don't want to lose you, something like that. Because I feel like Minnie is searching for belonging, and she needs to get out of her own illusion. And I think, essentially, Minnie needs her own rejection in some ways. So I could see Minnie and Chizuru having some sort of confrontation. And Chizuru setting down the tone of just like, hey, yo, this needs to end. Like, I'm sorry, you can't be this involved in our relationship. But then they involve her, as a family member, right? They break the illusion of Minnie being their Cupid, but they bring her into the family and they show her how much she belongs and how much they care about her. I feel like that makes a lot of sense, right? I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Also, I have no idea why, but I people are gonna fucking hate me for this. I think Minnie and Umi would be a really interesting ship. Minnie and Umi would be such an interesting ship. I don't know why. I'm just kind of feeling it. I could be completely wrong, of course. But Umi and Minnie seem like such an interesting ship. Anyways, finally. Yeah, I don't know why, Bacon. I'm kind of both sleazy as fuck. Minnie isn't really sleazy, I would argue. And there are things I think we actually don't know about Umi. I think we don't know the full context of the confession. Maybe Umi was also playing Cupid. Just unsubscribe for that comment. That comment made people so fucking mad. People hate Umi so goddamn much. It's so funny. I genuinely am curious to know more about Umi. I feel like while Umi does sleazy shit, I'm curious if he's actually as sleazy as he appears. I'm actually kind of curious if he's actually as sleazy as he appears. Because maybe Umi isn't actually as bad as he appears. I genuinely still believe this to some degree, that Umi isn't actually as bad as he appears. That I actually think like he does have some good in him because he still respects Chizuru's boundaries to some degree, clearly. He never physically engages with her in any way, right? He never touches her. He never pushes her boundaries. He always like keeps his fucking distance. He never tries to actually like grab her or do any of that stuff. Like Umi is surprisingly respectful despite being manipulative and kind of sleazy in how he approaches things. So it's like, yeah, he pushes to get what he wants, but he doesn't actually like physically make Chizuru uncomfortable besides just walking into her house and not knocking. He should have knocked. He should have at least fucking knocked. He didn't knock, so I don't know. Maybe he'll be like I remember initially in chapter 179 when I read it, like I thought Umi was secretly trying to push them together. But I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Maybe Umi has been secretly trying to push Chizuru and Kazuya together. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe he's actually been trying to get in the way and actually be with Chizuru. I really don't fucking know. I think he definitely confessed. That's definitely real, right? I think he definitely confessed, and that's definitely real. But I think there's more details that aren't actually as bad as we think they are. I think there's actually some secret positive details about Umi that we actually don't see because we've been so afraid of him for so long, because we've been seeing him through the lens of Kazuya. That maybe Umi isn't necessarily as bad as he appears, or maybe he is just as bad as he appears. I think that idea of just exploring Umi and knowing Umi and not being afraid of him is kind of the big thing Reiji is seemingly set up. Because you see Umi actually do positive things underneath it all. That he's not actually super shitty. But then you also see him do shitty things, and it's intentionally framed as shitty. Yeah, you have no confirmation until you 100% know for sure what he said to Chizuru that night of the party. And like, for instance, when he's talking to that girl and he gives her that gift for a white day and she's super thankful and shit in chapter 282, but then he's looking at Chizuru, we have no context for that. Like, yeah, it seems sleazy as fuck, and it's intentionally seems sleazy as fuck. But we also don't have context, and I think the idea is to start giving us context on Umi and to start kind of seeing him. Go to sleep, dude. Go to fucking sleep, dude. Don't stay up. It's not worth it. Just go to fucking bed. Go to bed, dumbass. I say this with love. Go to bed. Yeah, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Maybe like one weird theory that I think is kind of preposterous, like when you think about it for a second, maybe he did some sleazy move but it wasn't though. If anything, Umi was actually kind of protective when Kazuya showed up. Like when Kazuya showed up after during the stalking incident, like Umi was surprisingly protective. He was like, "Whoa, what the fuck is this?" But it turns out it wasn't actually serious. So, right? And then he trusts Chizuru to be with her, with Kazuya, right? So I actually don't think Umi is as bad. I think one crazy theory I had, and I don't think it's true. I actually don't think it's true. I think Umi maybe confessed on purpose because Chizuru isn't with Kazuya yet, not to get with Chizuru, but to maybe push her to, actually be with Kazuya. I don't know. I doubt it. I don't think he thought that far ahead. Umi literally represents selfish love, so I doubt it. I completely doubt this, but it's just a thought that popped into my head that I thought I'd share. I actually really doubt this theory. It has a very low chance of actually being true. That like Umi confessed just to push Chizuru to be with Kazuya, but at the same time, like I do think he does care about Chizuru in a similar manner that way Ruka cares about Kazuya. So I don't know. Beats me, man. It's hard to predict. Maybe in his own selfish way, he's trying to help. I have no idea. It's again, the whole point is we don't know, but I think what Reiji is intentionally setting up is that Umi may not be what he appears. And that's further added on to by the chapter. Nah, Umi wants to get in Chizuru. Again, we don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's probably truth to this. Let's not lie to ourselves and say there isn't truth to this. There's probably some truth to this. But before the chapter Umi shows up, chapter 281 is called The Spider and the Girlfriend. And this one's really interesting. So Chizuru sings this song. And it's a very specific folk song that you can look up the meaning for. You won't find it with these lyrics because they translated the lyrics kind of fucking goofy. You won't find it with these lyrics, but the lyrics are pretty much this. The lyrics are singing about a spider that shows up when someone falls down a waterfall. And the spider comes down and the person thinks the spider's going to kill them. And it's just like this big black spider. It's fucking terrifying. And it picks them up and it puts them on top and then it just leaves. And it's supposed to be about how this thing that seems scary isn't what it appears. This is a direct nod to Chizuru herself in this moment, because Chizuru wants to catch this spider, and she catches it, but she doesn't kill it. She just lets it go, right? She's actually saving the spider in a sense. In that same way, you could theoretically apply that to Umi, where Umi shows up right after this in the next chapter, right? So this is supposed to be how Chizuru herself isn't as scary as she appears. To not so Kazuya doesn't feel afraid, and how he gets to see a new side of her and feels a little more comfortable. And this could theoretically apply. English localization of Umi's reappearance is wrong. It's not friend but man. What do you mean? What are you talking about? What are you referring to? I'm confused. What are you referring to? I'm very confused. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, so when we see Umi here, he shows up right when Kazuya says, now if only these moments could last forever. And then Umi shows up. So when Umi shows up here, like, it seems to be implied that he's, reciprocating this girl's feelings, but then he's looking at Chizuru. So this intentionally looks sleazy to you, but maybe there's something else going on. Yeah, was rereading the manga came from chapter 197. It was cute. I thought people want Chizuru to be the version of her. Translation of Japanese title from chapter 287 is Man and Girlfriend. Wait, 287? My girlfriend and her friend. Okay. Her and her friends. It still translates the same. Her and her friends.
Japanese. Her and her friends. The fuck are you talking about? It's Kanojo, no Tomodachi. Tomodachi is friend. Don't believe everything people say online, dude. Just double check it yourself. Literally, this happened the other day with someone else on Twitter. I was like talking to this dude on Twitter, and he was telling me how like, oh, Reiji said it's rumored or our source said that like Reiji is sponsored or some shit. Like, where was it? Let me find it. Right here. So he tells me this is really good. The audience will definitely have the opportunity to visit the place where the Paradise Arc was set once they finish watching the anime. In fact, according to some sources, Hawaiians is part of the sponsorship for season 4. I'm like, what sources? What the fuck are you talking about? I've never heard this. And he tells me like, oh, Hawaiians is among the sponsors, and he tells me that it was from Reddit, and I'm like, that's not a fucking source. Reddit spreads rumors all the goddamn time. That's not a fucking source. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. And I'm like, yeah, just don't just fucking trust people, dude. People love to make shit up. No, it's my girlfriend and her friend. And I think it's very intentional that he's called a friend, despite the fact that he confesses. I genuinely think the titling is very intentional. I'm actually kind of curious. What the heck is going on with Umi, because I genuinely think it might not be what it appears. I actually genuinely think it may not be what it appears. I could just completely be wrong, you know? I could just completely be wrong. Source, Reddit. Yeah, I could be completely wrong. But I think we're going to find out some stuff about Umi soon and how Kazuya feels so uncomfortable about Umi. And Chizuru and Kazuya will definitely talk about it, and Kazuya will know more. But I think there's going to be more, right? And I think Kazuya will get a full explanation of what happened in the Tiger's Den. Because Reishi has been planning to show that. People have been asking Reishi about the Tiger's Den for some time. I remember he had a panel. He literally had a panel, and everybody was fucking asking him, like, hey, there's like 2 dudes who asked him about it. He's like, hey, so when are you going to show us the Tiger's Den? He's like, fine, I'll fucking show it eventually. Just shut up. If next chapter were to give, oh shit, oh no, it's too early for that, what would it be? An oh shit, oh no, to give a, oh, what do you mean? I don't get it. Can you elaborate, Bulver? I don't know what you're referring to. I don't know what you're referring to. But yeah, I think that song about the spider happening just before Umi shows up might be intentional. That Umi seems scary, but maybe he's not actually as scary as he appears. Right? He's intentionally presented as scary here. And I do know Reiji actually redraws this a little bit, and he makes Umi's bangs longer. I do vividly recall here. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up. I know he redraws this to make Umi's bangs longer. Because Umi actually has like long bangs, I guess. No. Why is... Oh, fuck off. No. Go back. 282. Damn it. It's not the official volumes. Fuck. Where are the official volumes? Oh, I guess they've gotten to Tekken on Evo. Oops. Okay. Bookwalker. Volume 31. Read. Oh, I gotta fucking log in. God damn it. Son of a mother. Oh, I think I remember where it is. Did it work? Hell yeah. How do you order JP versions of the manga and get close to this release version? So the best way to get access to the Japanese versions is Japan Bookwalker, Bookwalker JP, very specific. That's the best way to get it. If you want physical versions, you have to go to Amazon Japan. So you have to go to your Amazon account and change your region to Japan. And then you order it from Japan and they ship it to you. At least that's the way I do it. There's other ways to do it, but Amazon Japan would be the fastest, in my opinion. Just be warned, like shipping is expensive. Shipping is expensive. So I think, so not that one. So volume 31, not that one. So would it be volume 32 or 33? I do own 33. So no, it would have been. God, it looks so clean. It looks so much cleaner. The scans we have are so bad. It looks so clean. 283. Damn it. Okay, I guess I gotta buy volume. Whatever. Let's buy volume 32. Oh wait, maybe I can get a preview. Maybe I can get a preview. How far can I get in the previews? Come on. How far can I get in the previews? Only 10 pages? That's not enough. Damn it. Yeah, that's not, no. Okay, I guess I gotta buy it. Buy now. Translate to English. Read. Okay, good. Got it. It would be the last chapter. Oh, hey, this is cute. Is she like a flight attendant? Oh, yeah, she's a flight attendant. Oh, and they run into each other in the bathroom. Oh my god. These are so funny. Oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. I love him. So yeah, Reiji talks about like how Umi's gonna come back. He's talking about like wow, he's tearing down trees. Oh, yeah. So see, he drew Umi different. Umi looks a lot more menacing here. He drew his bangs longer, right? He drew Umi's bangs. Oh my god, what the heck? Wait. Look at this. Umi looks cute here. What the hell? Umi looks cute here. What the hell? Wait, I gotta know what it says. I gotta share it with my friend now so I know what it fucking says. Wait, I gotta share it with my friend now so I know what he fucking says. What does Umi say here? That's actually super interesting. And we discovered something new today. Now, this is cute. He looks cute here. He looks kind of fucking adorable here. But yeah, he looks menacing. Right? Here, Umi looks fucking menacing. And I think that's intentional. Reiji doubles down on how menacing Umi looks. Save the image and use Google Translate. It's not going to be as good. Because this is handwritten by Reiji. This is, like, it's not going to catch this. If anything, I think I should ask Mute. Whoa, what's this? What are they replying to? It is an honor. Reiji Mizime is a person who usually watches a ton of movies, so this time I posted with this image of an old Japanese movie titled "The Taste of Autumn Mackerel" and in my mind. Yeah, Reiji. So yeah, for those who don't know, Reiji does in fact watch a lot of films. Um, and yeah, so this is definitely seems like something he would watch. An autumn afternoon. Let me see if I can translate it with deep L. What it says. What the shit? Come on, you had one goddamn job. It's a great honor. Reiji Miyajima is the person who usually watches a great many film works. That's why I have chosen the title The Taste of Autumn Fish, which is inspired by an old Japanese film. Very cool. Very cool. Very, very cool. Oh, is this Etika? I miss Etika, dude. He's so fun. Okay. Nothing here. We might find this out later. But yeah, again, I was just wanted to show how like Reishi intentionally draws Umi as more menacing, but then isn't it interesting he contrasts that here. And then so for this, Reishi's playing Splatoon and he's losing super fucking hard. As you can see, he loses super fucking hard and he's losing it. So he just tosses the controller, kicks the TV down, breaks his fucking headset, jumps out the window, sprints into the fucking forest, tears down a tree. And then just destroys everything. And he's like, hey guys, how's it going? How's everybody cooking? He's just injured his fucking arm. And he's like, hey, look at what I'm going to show next time. I have a lot to show next time. Please be excited for next time. Now I'm going to go back and play more Splatoon. Oh no, he picks up his pen and he puts his thing on and he goes back to play more Splatoon. It's so funny. It's just so fucking funny. My God, this dude makes me fucking laugh. Oh, that's so stupid. Just fucking losing and over Splatoon. I used to rage like this when I played fucking fighting games. I fucking hated fighting games sometimes, dude. I'm so glad I like play differently now. The Umi image could make a cool PFP or what you did with the Chizuru image if it had more color. What, the cute one? I do apologize. I really should have phrased it as if it's events that just randomly happen a lot of left field and should happen later in the story as opposed to where we are. I'm not sure what you're referring to. If next chapter given ocean. Oh yeah, your thing you were asking and I didn't understand. I guess I could try texting him. Let's see if he says anything. What else is there to talk about? I'm not sure if there's anything else we wanted to talk about. We discussed Umi and how Umi might not be what he appears. I think that's going to be an interesting thing that Reishi's clearly setting up. Yeah, we talked about how this is called My Girlfriend and That Kiss, not The Kiss. I don't think there's anything going on in Twitch right now. Let's see if... Oh, yeah. Oh, is it winners semifinals for Tekken? Oh. Look at it. Oh my God, look at Kazuya. Look at Kazuya. Look at my adorable boy. This is this volume. Yeah, this is oh man. This spicy volume. Chizuru doing yoga. And then you have Kazuya. I don't even know what this says. I don't even know what this says. It's just cute looking. Oh, this is the volume that has this is the volume chapter 284, 283. Oh my god. Oh, so for this one, it's a continuation from the last volume. And Reiji decided to play Splatoon. Reiji decided to fuck, not Splatoon. He's playing Pikmin. Sorry, he's playing Pikmin, and he's like, it's so relaxing, it's so refreshing. I'm so happy. I feel so much better. and then he's like, gotta play more Splatoon. He gets a text. He's got to play more Splatoon. Oh, it's so pretty. And then in the teaser, it's Chizuru wearing an apron. I think she works at Starbucks. And then there's like this funny looking dude who's like goofy looking Kazuya. It's like you got a chin and everything. But then Chizuru makes him a heart, and she blushes. These are so cute. These are so fucking cute. They're adorable. Damn, no one's replying to me. I'm sad. I'm getting ghosted, bros. 7 minutes of ghosting. True tragedy right here. I guess I could, I've been streaming for 3 hours and 21 minutes. I've kind of run out of things to talk about. I pretty much talked about everything I wanted to talk about. Shaggy, right? It does kind of look like Shaggy. Where can you find the anatomical detailed picture of Chizuru in the red dress, the spicy one, that Reiji drew? Anatomically detailed picture. You're gonna have to specify because there's multiple of those. There's multiple of those. You're gonna have to specify. When you say anatomically detailed, are you talking about Chizuru's boobs? What are you talking about? That's very vague. Yes. The Chizuru boobs one. Okay, I have that somewhere. Reiji, I don't remember if like Reiji posted it somewhere, but I have it. I just gotta find it. So there's this one. Cool as shit. Hot as fuck. Cool as shit. She's so fucking cool. Where's that one you're talking about? Asking for a friend. Haha, you're so funny. I do know Mute has it on his thing. He posted it recently. So I can just... So there's this one. And I'm pretty sure you're referring to this one, right? 90% sure this is the one you're referring to. All right. The unbelievably horny one. Who are we kidding? It's great. I ain't complaining. It's great. Is this the one you're looking for? Damn, bro. Ain't nobody gonna respond today. What time? Yani hissa? Okay, hissa حخلص. So yeah. Chizuru and Minnie fight possibly happening next chapter. And no one is responding, so I have no context for the Umi thing. Gah! Why are you doing this to me? Did they at least see it? No. Just send. 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 Ugh, cries. Cries. Eh. I've run out of things to talk about. I apologize. I'm being a terrible host. Oh wow, no, should not go there. That's my email. Probably a bad fuck. Wait, I do have some things to talk about. Oh, I just realized I do have things to talk about. Oh, I'm a fool. The one where Chizuru is lying down, where she talks about it in an interview. Oh, she's not wearing a red dress. She's wearing black, dude. Get it right. Stupid. This one, right? Yes, I'm aware. And yes, if you look closely, you can see the veins. I'm aware. If you look closely, you can see the veins. Yes, he wanted to show the veins. He said this because he wants it to look realistic. Okay, so I do have something I can talk about. So I got an email from one of the fans who was interested in the series, and he's been emailing me occasionally. He talks about I didn't agree with most of the stuff he said, but there was something I found interesting. He talks about Paris Hilton, and he mentioned something interesting that I totally forgot about. But I remember when we were reading the Paris Hilton thing, I actually compared it to Mami. I vividly recall if you guys remember the Paris Hilton thing, it's chapter 386, and Kazuya is talking to the dude, and then Kazuya talks about Paris Hilton, and how Paris Hilton wouldn't do this thing, but she totally fucking would. So, when we see Mami in chapter 342, he's wearing a Paris shirt. So this person says, Paris Hilton's name comes up when Kazuya was talking to Nagomi, but the word Paris also appears somewhere else. In Hawaiians, I vividly recall Mami either talking about Paris or talking about somewhere else. I just got to double check when it was. I think it's like chapter 203. No. It's in the 90s. Or 98. Okay. 199. Yeah, we had the Ruka thing. Have you ever been to Italy? Oh, she mentions Italy, not Paris. But yeah, Mommy's wearing a Paris shirt. And I thought that was interesting. Yeah, and Mommy's wearing that shirt, so he mentions that the inscription is covered by the jacket Mommy's wearing. Maybe you have an idea what the full word says. In any case, I think the fact that she has an outfit during her date with Toru may foreshadow Mommy's upcoming arc, and that actually aligns perfectly with the words the dude says at the time. Where if we go to the chapter, in chapter 380, what is it? 380 something? 386. I ran to them near the apartment she was living at around here, and we started throwing fists seriously. But who runs into who with Mami and where? Right? This makes sense if you think about Mami for a very simple reason. Here's that exact scenario. Here's that exact scenario. We don't know what Minnie's shirt or Mommy's shirt says. We don't know the full thing that it says. Anagram of Paris. Does it actually say that? We don't know. Gram. We can look at another one. That's an R. So RAGRAM or N. $30.44. That would be the last one we see Mami in. Nope, we can't see it. So yeah, this line here, fragrance of Paris. Why do you think it's fragrance? What gives you the impression it says fragrance? Chizuru? What about Chizuru? I don't get it. What are we talking about? Either way, Mommy's wearing like a shirt from the most romantic city in the world, and it doesn't make sense, you know, because she's not in a romantic situation right now. Damn, still nothing. So that line the dude says may actually be nodding to Mami, which I think is really fucking interesting. Let's see. Nagomi still doesn't know Mami is Kazuya's ex. I think she will accept Mami's invitation. Oh, yeah, sure. So he had this idea that Mami might throw a party and invite them. And he's making a comparison to Paris and Claris, which is like the name of the band that sings the opening. I think they make some interesting guesses, but other times I feel like they dig a little too deep into it. Considering this is coming from me, I feel like this says a lot a little bit. Let's see. One of the chapter covers Chizuru and Kazuya playing tennis together as one team. They never played tennis. They play that little ball. Kazuya and Chizuru never played tennis. I don't know where that comes from. They're talking about coupons or something. Oh yeah, Kazuya had a coupon thing he wanted to give Chizuru. Princess and her ninja. The cover of chapter 397 is a parallel to the role Chizuru played in chapter 51. The first stage play Kazuya watched on the cover of chapter 397. Chizuru is the princess and Minnie is a ninja. Oh, that is interesting, actually. They make an interesting comparison here. So in chapter 51, when Kazuya goes to see Chizuru's play, Chizuru is Chizuru plays a princess. Or Chizuru doesn't play a princess. She plays a ninja. And oh wow, that's actually a good catch. Oh, that's a good fucking catch, actually. So this princess, whom Chizuru looks actually quite similar to, and Chizuru is her ninja who's protecting her, and Umi is the shogun, who is who's with the princess. Here, Chizuru is the princess. You could argue Kazuya is the shogun, and Minnie is the ninja protecting the princess. These are real clothes brand anagram Paris. Oh, okay. That's an interesting one. So yeah, this is actually a cool catch. So Chizuru is the princess um to Kazuya's shogun, if you will. It's like she's waiting for her husband to come back, bro. That's crazy. That's actually a cool catch. That's a cool catch. Um, what puzzles me is the fact that the character Chizuru plays dies in one of the final scenes, sacrificing herself to protect her princess. Well, Minnie isn't exactly playing that role because Minnie's supposed to be coming in to assassinate Chizuru, right? So it's not actually that. So she's not literally doing that. Minnie is not playing the role she thinks she's playing. She's calling herself Oda Nobunaga. So Minnie is not playing the role she thinks she's playing. But I do think there's the idea that Minnie may try to sacrifice herself. I think that's something that could happen, because Chizuru might try to keep her out of it initially, and then they'll bring Minnie back. So I think that's going to be something that's going to happen, because I can in fact see that, right? That Kazuya and Chizuru will probably end up saving Minnie. That's something I can definitely see. And I think that's going to be a big thing Kazuya and Chizuru will do together, maybe. Damn it, still nobody responded. Let's see. Anything else interesting? He said something about like Kazuya getting stuck in a closet with Chizuru, but that one's weird, mostly because like, so I can kind of see that for a simple thing, because in chapter 386, but it doesn't make too much sense, you know, but it is interesting. So Kazuya here says, I put the bed in the wrong spot. He put it near like the closet or something. So he put it in like the wrong spot, and then he had to move it around. So I don't know. I think that's an interesting guess, but I don't think anybody could really fit in that closet. So I don't know. I just wanted to share that. But yeah, that is interesting, that whole Minnie comparison thing, which like Minnie is the ninja going to Chizuru the princess, and Chizuru accepted her role as the princess, and the first time we see Chizuru play a role, she's not the princess. So if anything, that's telling you Chizuru stopped being the ninja, stop being the secondary role, and embrace her role as the princess. Whereas Minnie is literally playing Chizuru's old role. Minnie is literally playing Chizuru's old role. Isn't that interesting? This is easily one of my favorite scenes. Damn. One of my favorite scenes. Anagram of Paris. Let's look that up. Anagram of Paris. Or Anagram Paris. Probably just Anagram Paris. Just clothes. Oh. We're already seeing similarities to the stuff Mami wore. Not that. Definitely not that. Oh, there it is. Isn't this literally Mommy's jacket? That kind of looks like Mommy's jacket. Oh, except it's leather. Hers, I don't think hers was leather, but it looks just like her jacket. I know the core basics of French. I see. Maybe Chizuru will count Mami as in Kazuya will Kyoko Kazu's Koze. That doesn't make any fucking sense. This is a real clothes anagram Paris. I'll look up anagram of Paris. Oh, not clothes. Damn it. Clothes. Yeah, it's the problem is I can't seem to find like the actual brand to get more details on it. If you have the link to like the actual brand, like their website, because I'm pretty sure like if you could find a link and send it to me, I would appreciate it, because like sometimes that stuff's hard to find, you know. Or you know, the dolls kissing is literally just Kazuya and Chizuru, and you're completely overthinking it. You're completely overthinking it. It's literally meant to represent innocence. They're two cute kids as dolls kissing. It's meant to represent innocence. That's the point. It's not about the money or anything like that. That's the whole point. It's meant to be cheap, just like how much the volume costs. It's meant to represent innocence. That's the idea, not anything else. Okay, I think I have to actually head out. So I'll check one more time to see if they responded about what Umi said. Nope. Negative. So I'm just going to head out. I'm going to head out for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed the stream, consider subbing, following, all the fun stuff if you're new. I've been Fate. I hope this was fun. We can continue this discussion about all this other stuff later. But yeah, just if you find the anagram of Paris thing, just join the Discord and send it to me. Type anagram of Paris shirt. Fine. Okay, let's do that real quick. Anagram of Paris shirt. Yeah, I don't see it. Again, just send me the link, whether in the comments or somewhere else, and I'll go from there. I'll go from there. Okay, take care, fellas. It's been fun. I have to head out and go do some stuff. You have a good day. See you later. Remember, let's mosey. Okay. I'll see you guys probably Tuesday.